Hello everybody, I'm here to tell you about a lost episode I've encountered, which is one of my favorite TV shows. My favorite TV show that I watch is SpongeBob SquarePants, which is a show that I used to watch on Nickelodeon alongside the Fairly OddParents. One of my most hated episodes from said series was Wormy, which is an episode that featured the close-up of a horsefly, which frightens young viewers. So, if you guys thought Giovanni's encounter with a lost SpongeBob episode on a DVD was very frightening, then guess again. It all started off on a perfect Friday afternoon. I was at Applebee's having dinner. My meal was a corn dog with French fries with a Sierra Mist as my drink, and an Oreo milkshake. Once we left Applebee's, we went to do some shopping at Walmart. When my parents were looking for their stuff, I looked through the DVD section. The DVDs were types of children's shows such as Blue's Clues, Sesame Street, The Wiggles, VeggieTales, and others. After a good 10 seconds, something caught the corner of my eye. It was a SpongeBob DVD. The cover consisted of SpongeBob and Patrick running from what appeared to be a butterfly in a bubble. The DVD was titled SpongeBob SquarePants, Lost Internship Recreation for the Wormy episode. Looks good, I said. I then went to show my parents the DVD. They told me they were impressed. While we were checking out, I paid $2 for the DVD. When we got home, I played Super Mario All-Stars on my Nintendo Switch. A while later, my mom and dad told me that they were going out for 2 days and would be back by Monday. This gave me enough time to watch the DVD. I then put the DVD into a DVD player. As I went downstairs to grab some popcorn and a soda, I then went back to watch the DVD. It played the FBI warning screens, previews for most of the Nickelodeon shows, the Nickelodeon logos and the Paramount DVD menu. After I pressed main menu, it took me to the menu. The menu was really great. It consisted of the cast of characters on a background of jellyfish fields. The music that was playing in the background was 12th Street Rag. On the left of the screen there were a few options: play Lost Internship Recreation, set up, bonus features, and meet the staff. I clicked on play so I could watch it. But before the episode began, there was a warning. Warning. This Lost Internship Recreation of Wormy you are about to watch contains graphic violence that may not viewed by children. Watch if you have to. Viewer discretion is advised. Uh-oh, I said. This is not gonna go well. The intro then played normally throughout. After the credits the title card came up. Instead of it being normal, the background had Ticci heads, and the text was a lighter shade of red. The 12th Street Rag music could also be heard in the background. Okay, I said. After the title card, the credits played, and then the bubble translation played, and the episode began. It started off with SpongeBob and Patrick taking care of Sandy's pets and Sandy going out for a day just like in the final episode. SpongeBob and Patrick then spotted a green caterpillar named Wormy and had fun with him throughout the day. Later at the end, SpongeBob gave Wormy a best friend ribbon and Wormy went back in his jar. SpongeBob and Patrick walked home, and promised to be back by tomorrow. At night, something way more different happened in this scene rather than being the butterfly transformation scene. Once we zoomed into Wormy's jar, his skin could be seen rotting off as small drops of blood could be seen dripping from his rotting skin while scary music began playing. After 10 seconds, Wormy's rotten skin burst open, revealing a monarch butterfly. Just then, the bubble translation played again as it showed Bikini Atoll that morning. It then showed SpongeBob's bedroom. For a moment, it was all quiet. Just then, SpongeBob hopped out of bed. "Here I come, Wormy," said SpongeBob, as heard in the final episode. "Me too," Patrick said. They then ran to Sandy's tree dome with their water helmets on. They ran through Sandy's door saying, "We're back, Wormy." SpongeBob and Patrick chanted for Wormy. That was until SpongeBob held up the jar with the butterfly in it and Wormy's rotten body. "Where's Wormy? What's that thing?" Patrick said. SpongeBob then said, "He's got to be in here." He then opened the jar, causing Wormy to fly out. SpongeBob and Patrick found out what happened to Wormy, as the best friend ribbon could be seen in the jar. When the butterfly flew onto SpongeBob's helmet, It showed a close-up of a horsefly's head as buzzing sounds played in the background. The close-up didn't scare me at first, but what happened next was unexpected. SpongeBob and Patrick scream when they see the close-up, a stream of tears flowing down from their eyes. They then ran behind Sandy's table to hide. "What is that thing?" Patrick said, as heard in the final episode. It then cut to a shot of Wormy on the tree. "I don't know, Patrick, but whatever it is, it must have eaten Wormy," SpongeBob said as heard in the episode. "I found out that butterflies were very dangerous. They could make people's eyes water." The duo then ran to the door. However, the butterfly flew in front of the door. They then ran back towards Sandy's tree. The rest of the episode continued normally. It then showed SpongeBob and Patrick behind Sandy's table with Sandy's phone inside the jar, waiting to trap the butterfly. The phone began to ring. "It's for you," Patrick said. The butterfly began to fly towards the jar. "It's working, he's gonna answer it," SpongeBob said. However, the butterfly flew past the jar and the lid closes, meaning that it failed. "Tartar sauce," Patrick said angrily. The next scene showed Patrick on a plate with an apple in his mouth. SpongeBob said, "You look pretty appetizing, Patrick. Now, just stay here and wait for the monster. I'll go get the net." He then walked off to get the net. The butterfly then began to fly by and land on Patrick's butt. Patrick began whimpering in fear as he spat out the apple. "SpongeBob, hurry up with that net," Patrick said. "Hold on, Patrick," SpongeBob said, as he searched through Sandy's trunk for the net. "I really don't taste that good, Mr. Monster," Patrick said. Wormy then crawled down Patrick's helmet. Patrick began to feel very scared as he saw it. Just then, the horsefly close-up appears on the screen upside down, only that the buzzing had a demonic filter added to it. "I nearly fell out of my seat when I saw it." Patrick's eyes then turned hot pink and hot tears streamed down his cheeks. He then screamed and ran off, as SpongeBob ran past while holding Sandy's net. "I'm coming, Patrick," SpongeBob said as he ran to him. Patrick then goes through the net and rips it off, and hits Sandy's tree really hard, as acorns fell into his now broken helmet. "No, Mr. Monster, please don't eat. No, no, no. Spare me, I don't taste good, no please," pleaded SpongeBob, as heard in the episode. As Wormy flew closer to him, he then noticed he had a container of bubbles, so he took it out, and blew through it, causing Wormy to get stuck in one. "Yeah?" SpongeBob shouted in glee, as he jumped wearing a cheerleader outfit with pom-poms. Wormy was shown in the bubble flying out of Sandy's tree dome. Once he flew out, Patrick closed the door by putting the lock on, as heroic music played. "We did it, Patrick," SpongeBob said. "Sandy's gonna be so proud of us. We got that horrible monster out of her house, and best of all, her pets are safe. Cause that horrible creature is now." His sentence was cut off by Wormy flying towards the Krusty Krab, headed straight for the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob exclaimed. The duo then ran out of Sandy's tree dome and notices Wormy flying towards the Krusty Krab's front door. They then use a secret entrance by using a rock to go inside the Krusty Krab. They both gasped as Wormy was seen flying towards Squidward and Mr. Krabs, who were shown taking pictures. "Okay, hold still," Squidward said. "It's gonna eat Squidward and Mr. Krabs," Patrick said in horror. The duo then jumped at them. "Hit the deck, Mr. Krabs," SpongeBob yelled. Squidward said, "Say money." "Money," Mr. Krabs said. Right when Squidward took the picture, it flashed for a split second and it reveals SpongeBob and Patrick jumping on top of Mr. Krabs. It then cut to the cash register boat as the group's legs can be seen moving before they went back in. "What's the meaning of this, SpongeBob?" Mr. Krabs exclaimed. SpongeBob then warned Mr. Krabs about the monster, as seen the episode. After that, Patrick was crying in tears. "Just like it at Wormy," Patrick bawled. Squidward said, Wormy, SpongeBob and Patrick begin crying as seen in the episode. "Well, if more on theater's over, I think I'll just take a look at this monster," Squidward said. SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward and Mr. Krabs peeked their heads over the boat, and they saw Wormy flying in the bubble. "That's the monster?" Squidward asked. Patrick said, "Pretty scary, huh? A living nightmare," SpongeBob said. Squidward then confronted them, and got of the boat. Now just cause you swabs never seen a creature like this doesn't mean it's dangerous, Mr. Krabs said. We tried to warn them. I can't watch, SpongeBob said, as he pushed his eyes into his head. Get a load of the scary monster, Squidward laughed, as he horn-scoffed the butterfly. Monster, ha ha. It looks harmless, Mr. Krabs said. It's kinda cute, Squidward said. It reminds me of money, Mr. Krabs said. Monster, Squidward said, as he grabbed the bubble with Wormy in it. As he and Mr. Krabs laughed as the camera zoomed into the bubble with Wormy inside it. After that, I saw something that freaked me out the most. As the close-up came on the screen, it glowed dark red and the buzzing had a distorted filter added to it like the last one. After that, Squidward and Mr. Krabs screamed in fright as blood burst out from their eyes and they collapsed on the floor. SpongeBob peeked out of the cash register boat. Squidward? SpongeBob said. Mr. Krabs? Patrick said. SpongeBob then gasped in terror as he sees something that scares me. It cut to a shot of Mr. Krabs and Squidward's dead bodies, as their eyes were missing with blood dripping out of them and their mouths were agape instead of the two pair of underwear and the Krusty Krab hat being shown. It ate them. And there it goes, SpongeBob exclaimed, as it panned to Wormy flying out of the Krusty Krab, still in the bubble. He then holds up 3 puppet fingers for each person. First Wormy, then Squidward, Mr. Krabs. That flying monster has eaten 3 friends too many. We must inform the citizens. Evil has surfaced. The fate of Bikini Bottom is in our hands. Patrick, now let's roll. SpongeBob then said to Patrick. Aye aye, Captain Patrick said, as he pushed a lever to make the boat sail out of the Krusty Krab. The bubble translation played as it showed SpongeBob and Patrick on the streets. SpongeBob then told Patrick that it must be treated with care. SpongeBob and Patrick then yelled out monster and everyone begins to scream and run around in circles. SpongeBob and Patrick gave themselves a thumbs up. The bubble translation played as it showed a montage of SpongeBob and Patrick talking about the butterfly. Not long after, it showed Bikini Bottom on fire with people running from it. Attention, attention, this just in, a giant monster is attacking Bikini Bottom, said the news fish as a TV showed a live-action monarch butterfly. A fish watching the news screamed as his eyeballs fell out of his sockets, and runs through the wall. It then showed a shot of the buildings on fire and the people panicking. We did it, Patrick, said SpongeBob. We saved the city. Just think what might have happened if we didn't tell everyone about the monster. Patrick said. About the what? Just then, Wormy flew past. SpongeBob, Patrick and the rest of the citizens ran away from Wormy, but Wormy kept finding them every time they went from building to building. The crowd then stopped at a traffic crossing to let another crowd through as they passed through. However, something way more different happened instead of the actual episode. The crowd went down one path while SpongeBob and Patrick went down a different path. They noticed that they were running to what looked like a fence. They then crashed through the fence and fell into a pond that resembled toxic waste. They fell inside. They soon noticed that it wasn't water at all. SpongeBob and Patrick groaned in agony as they were melting from the waste. As the groaning went on for 7 seconds, SpongeBob tried getting out of the pond but nothing worked. The waste rose up to melt SpongeBob. After he died, it cut to the credits. However, the credits song was distorted and the background was dark red and the text was black. After the credits, the United Plankton Pictures logo played. However, the little sea creatures were black, the background was bloodshot red, and the text was orange. Then the Nickelodeon logo played, but it was different. The logo was red instead of orange, and the text was black rather than white, and the text was reversed, spelling it Noedlo X Sin. And the text was 666 MTV networks. Wait, MTV? But I thought Nickelodeon was owned by Paramount, I said. After that, it faded to black for 5 seconds. When I was about to reach for the TV remote, I saw something come up on the screen that scared the living crap out of me. It showed a picture of a wasp's head, but it was different. The wasp's eyes were black, its pupils were red, and it was crying tears. But it was red, which kind of resembled blood, while it was overlapped with a very loud, distorted, and demonic version of the wasp's buzz, the man's blood-curdling scream, the same scream from the Lost Teletubbies episode that Meatball Mars Gaming encountered, the Howie scream, SCP-096's scream, the scream from the Halloween variant of the Gracie Films logo, an ear-shattering version of Sackboy's scream from Sackboy, A Big Adventure 2. The Vex chapter where he's about to get eaten by Vex, a very loud version of Scratch's scream at the end of Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs where he lost his acorn, a massively loud version of Baby Moe's non-stop screaming from Ralph Breaks the Internet, a distorted version of the roar from the B&D of Doom, Invader Zim's evil laugh from the Invader Zim episode Future Dib, a very loud version of a woman's scream, and even the distorted version of Woody's scream that came from the Lost Toy Story treats that Rowan encountered. The screams were so ear-piercing that I jumped out of my seat and tried to turn the volume down on my remote, but it wouldn't drown out the sound. After the jump scare ended, it took me back to the menu. I was completely shocked by what I had witnessed. I then looked through the bonus features. The bonus features were the sister episode Patty Hype, and a web link to Nickelodeon's website. I then decided to record the episode and take screenshots of the episode. When my mum and dad came home on Monday, I showed them what I saw on the DVD. I managed to grab a few screenshots before they burned the DVD in the furnace. That night, I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares about the episode, which included Wormy buzzing in my face, making my eyes explode, and melting me with toxic waste. The next day, I contacted Nickelodeon and they told me that they decided to make Wormy a horror episode. For some reason, I got confused on why they decided to make it horrifying, despite this being so much nightmare fuel. I never watched another SpongeBob episode after that. A broken bar. If you guys see a DVD of a lost episode that hasn't been released, don't watch it. This is Dark Blue, signing out. The Lavender Town Syndrome, also known as Lavender Town Tone or Lavender Town Suicides, was a peak in suicides and illness of children between the ages of 7-12 shortly after the release of POC 8 copyrightman Red and Green in Japan, back in February 27, 1996. Rumors say that these suicides and illness only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose theme music had extremely high frequencies, that studies show that only children and young teens can hear since their ears are more sensitive. Advertisements due to the Lavender Tone, at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide, and many more developed illnesses and afflictions. The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. Those who did not act irrationally complained of severe headaches after listening to Lavender Town's theme. Although Lavender Town now sounds differently depending on the game, this mass hysteria was caused by the first POC 8 copyrightman game released. After the Lavender Tone incident, the programmers had fixed Lavender Town's theme music to be at a lower frequency, and since then children were no longer affected by it. One video appeared in 2010 using special software to analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music. When played, the software created images of the unknown near the end of the audio. This raised a controversy since the unknown didn't appear until the Generation 2 games, Silver, Gold, and Crystal. The unknown translate to leave now. Advertisements. There is also the said beta version of Lavender Town. It is said that the beta version of Pocket Monsters was released to some kids to test the games. This is the video of the beta version of Lavender Town. I'm pretty sure anyone who watched Nick Jr. in the late 2000s and early 2010s know what the Wonder Pets are. Right? Well, I used to love that show when I was a kid, but if I have to explain about what happened to me recently, I must warn you that this story may contain violence that may not be suitable for children. So you've been warned. Anyways, let's begin. It was just a normal day for me. I was at Target looking at the DVD aisle looking for a DVD I would like, until I found a DVD for some reason in a CD case written in Sharpie handwriting. On the top it said The Wonder Pets, and the bottom said season 4 premiere, which was peculiar because the series had 3 seasons, and since the show got cancelled in 2013 or 2016. For those who don't know what Wonder Pets is, it's a Nick Jr. show created by Josh Selig. I grew up with the show. Wonder Pets was one of my favorite childhood shows alongside the Backyardigans, and Ni Hao, Kailan. I went to the checkout stand to pay for the DVD. As I gave it to that woman working the cashier, she asked me, "Did you actually find that on one of the divide racks?" I said yes. She then said, "I don't think any Target would sell any DVD in that type of packaging." I paid for the DVD and went home. When I got home, I put the DVD in my portable DVD player and sat down to watch it. The DVD started with the Paramount DVD logo from 2003, but it doesn't seem right. The sky was red and orange. There was what looked to be fire behind the clouds, and when the DVD text flashed, there was an explosion, and then, the Nickelodeon DVD logo from 2010 played. But something was off. The logo was on fire like someone lit it. Then the DVD played a couple Nick Jr. promos. After the promos, it cut to the DVD menu, which was interesting. The menu consisted of Linny, Tuck and Ming Ming flying on the flyboat, with the Wonder Pets logo with the Nickelodeon logo on the top, and on the bottom, there was red text saying season 4 is here. And like I said, it was peculiar because the series only had 3 seasons and the show got cancelled in 2013 or 2016. I pressed episode selection and there was only 4 episodes. They were How It All Began, A Job Well Done, Back to Kalamazoo, and The Final Hours, which was strange. I didn't remember Wonder Pets having an episode titled The Final Hours. Also, I haven't heard about any season 4 episodes at all, so I had a feeling that Nickelodeon lied. The Final Hours episode thumbnail was just pitch black, so I went back to the main menu and pressed play all. And after I watched the first 3 episodes, it moved on to the 4th and last episode. However, a warning screen popped up, and the warning screen said, "The following episode may contain violence that are related to apocalyptic movies, so you may not watch this if you're younger. So please watch at your own risk. Thank you." "Oh, won't be not good," I muttered. The intro started, but the sky was lavender and the Nickelodeon logo was dark red and looked a bit broken, like someone demolished it. The Wonder Pets logo was rusty and almost destroyed. The kids in the background weren't singing the Wonder Pets theme, and the music was replaced with the music of the opening sequence from the 1996 film The Island of Dr. Morn. And there was a red text date on the bottom right corner said the 17th of October 2016. I think that was the date when the series actually ended, because if you look it up, it actually says October 17th, 2016. Oh, and the logo on the episode reminds me of an apocalyptic city. Anyways, the intro then continued as usual, but something was wrong. The created by Josh Selig and creative director Jennifer Oxley texts were blood red and with a bangers font. After the camera panned to the school, the bell rang. But it didn't sound like it's ringing, it sounded like the Grease alarm. Instead of the camera panning to the entrance of the school, it panned to the left as the music stopped and the red date text faded out. Then it faded to a warning sign in the team's backyard. It was like the title card. It read The Wonder Pets, The Final Hours. But this time, the kid voice who reads the title cards didn't sound like a kid. He sounded like a 16-year-old boy. He read the title card, just like the kid did every episode. The episode began by the camera panning to the bottom right where the Wonder Pets were walking. It went on for a few seconds until they stopped. "Another job well done." Ming Ming spoke. "You said it, Ming Ming. We saved the baby hummingbird again and now he's all happy. Now this call for some celery." Linny replied. However, instead of just simply pulling out a piece celery, Linny ran off to the schoolhouse to get celery. The scene then cut to the school where Linny was going to get celery in a mini fridge. I didn't think they had a mini fridge in the show. "Celery, here I come," Linny called. Linny opened the fridge, but there was no celery. The only things that were in the fridge were a ton of bottles of red Gatorade. Oh no. Linny gasped. I'm out of celery. Linny then ran away to tell Tuck and Ming Ming. The scene then cut to Tuck and Ming Ming wondering where Linny was. Where's Linny? Tuck wondered. I'm not really Sue. Ming Ming agreed. Just then, Linny ran back into the shot. Guys, Linny spoke. What's wrong? Linny? Tuck asked. We ran out of celery. Linny answered. Well, I guess we eat celery every time we save something, like saving a lot of animals. So, someone would just buy some new celery. Tuck spoke. It just one thing. Ming Ming thought. Who would run out to get some celery? Linny asked. You. Tuck told Linny. Well what do we do? Linny wondered. I don't know. Tuck answered. I know exactly the right place where we need to go get celery. Linny mentioned. The scene cut to the team flying on their flyboat, singing their We're on Our Way song. It then cut to the team arriving to ShowPrite. I never seen them go to an actual store before, I thought. Here we are, ShopRite. Linny spoke. But what if we get trampled by a big crowd of people? Ming Ming said. Well, let's just go in, Linny replied. They went to the entrance of the market, and the next scene showed the team in the market. Wow. You're right, Ming Ming. There's a lot of people, Linny presumed. What do we do? Tuck asked. Linny explained if we get celery, we will. Then the ease sound played in the background, and the team's expressions changed from happy to being shocked. Oh no, the emergency alert system is on. Tuck panicked. This is serious, Ming Ming sang. After the ease sound played, a male store announcer voice spoke in the background and spoke. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. All normal broadcasting, radio broadcasting, and even more has been discontinued during this alert. There is an asteroid that is named N62 meteor that is going to hit the planet, and it'll cause severe damage to vehicles, buildings, and even more. Seek shelter immediately. If there's no shelter available, get to the public shelter. If you don't have a vehicle, then get to a bus stop, or a taxi cab stand, or a tricycle or a motorcycle and ask to get to the public shelter. If you're not able to find a bus stop, or a taxi cab stand, or a tricycle or a motorcycle, then run to the public shelter as quick as possible. Do not panic. Remain calm. Panicking will make this disaster worse. So stay tuned for more information about this situation, and good luck seeking shelter. The ease then ended. Linny, Tuck and Ming Ming gasped in horror after they heard the alarm. Oh no, Linny gasped. This isn't good. What did I just hear? Ming Ming questioned. I don't know, Tuck answered. Then the scene showed people running through the street while cars were speeding up. The sky turned red. The Wonder Pets quickly ran as fast as they could and hoped in the flyboat. They quickly soared through the sky. Dramatic music started playing in the background, as a tornado siren started playing in the background as well. Come on Linny, FLY faster, FLY faster, so we can get to the shelter quickly. Quick, FLY faster now, quickly, quick, we don't wanna die. Ming Ming panicked loudly. Hurry up Linny. Ming Ming, shut up. We're almost to the shelter. Now stop panicking. Like the emergency alert system told us before. Don't panic. Panicking will make the disaster worse. Now calm down and shut up. Linny angrily told Ming Ming. I was shocked. I never heard someone say die and shut up in preschool show like this before, as well as the characters' dialogue being this panicked and realistic. Okay then. If you say so. Ming Ming sighed. As they arrived to the shelter, the Wonder Pets got out of the flyboat and rushed downstairs to the shelter. And as they made it, they sat down in a hurry. There, I think we should be safe here, Linny told them. Good thing we made it, Linny, Tuck reminded. Is this gonna be serious? Ming Ming wondered. Then the iPhone emergency alert sound played. The sound was coming from Tuck. Oh no, an emergency alert is on the cell phone. Tuck gasped. I didn't even know any of the Wonder Pets had a cell phone. You need to check it, Tuck. Ming Ming reminded Tuck. Then Tuck grabbed his phone and checked the message. What does the message say, Tuck? Linny asked Tuck. Then the next scene showed the message on Tuck's phone and read, The world is about to end in 5 minutes. Seek shelter immediately. This is not a test. The camera zoomed into their message and then the dun 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 sound effect played in the background. Oh no, Tuck gasped. IT says world's about to end in 5 minutes. What? Linny questioned. Uh-oh, a broken bar, Ming Ming muttered. Now what are we gonna do? Not sure, Linny answered. Me neither, Tuck agreed. Just then, a car broke in and bounced forward fast and crashed. Oh no, a lady in the car gasped. What have you done to the car? Oops, I'm sorry. The man in the car apologized. I'm trying to get the shelter fast. Then it cut to a car zooming in full speed while the asteroid is in the sky. Let's get to the shelter quick before the asteroid crashes. A man's voice in the car panicked. The scene changed to a van crashing to a different car. Then a scene of an airplane soaring through the sky fast showed. Then the scene suddenly changed to the dad pigeon from Save the Pigeon, riding a toy motorcycle. He was driving crazy like he drank a lot of energy drinks. Then he arrived at the public shelter. And then the scene cut back to the Wonder Pets. The scene changed to a TV with an E-screen. The differences was the sounds were in a loud volume. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The mock spoke. Then it eventually shows some 3 arrow signs of a street, while 3 cars are speeding in the same directions. It cut to the public shelter with an airplane landing with people running out to the shelter. They were screaming. Then a car pulled up to the shelter. Suddenly, a truck crashed right into the car. It cut to Ollie and his parents driving. Mom, I'm scared. Ollie panicked. Don't worry, Ollie. We're almost at the shelter. Ollie's mum responded. Dad, drive faster. Ollie again panicked. I'm trying my best. Ollie's dad told Ollie. Then the ease tone played from the car. Oh my god, an emergency alert system is on the radio. Ollie's dad nervously told Ollie. It cut to a person standing at a taxi stop and a taxi car arrived to pick up the person. He got into the taxi car and Ollie's car drove away. Then it suddenly changed to the taxi car driving to the public shelter for 3 seconds. Just then, the scene cut to the meteor soaring down from the sky for 5 seconds. The scene then showed a cow, a kitten, a dog, the dish and spoon from Help the Cow Jump Over the Moon, the hummingbird and his dad, the unicorn and the dragon, Granny Ginny, Bernie, Granny Winnie, Buck, Marvin and Auntie Lenora inside a bus getting to the shelter. Come on driver, the cow panicked. We don't wanna die. Yeah, the kitten berated. Mummy ... I'm scared. Marvin panicked. Don't worry, I'll always keep you safe. Auntie Lenora reassured Marvin. There it is, the shelter, the unicorn pointed out. As they arrived, the driver dropped them off and the bus drove away. They ran to the shelter. Just then, it cut back to the Wonder Pets. Guys, you're here, Linny said. Marvin, you, Ming Ming shouted as she hugged him. Buck, you're here, Tuck told Buck. Yep, Buck replied. Since you guys are here, we can now survive until the end. Now find a spot where you can be safe. Linny spoke. Then it cut to a scene of 2 people running away from their house and getting into a car to get to the shelter. The car then zoomed away. The scene surprisingly cut to a bunch of toy vehicles driving to the left in a block while the gecko from Save the Gecko was following between them until he jumped to one of the cars. It then cut to a hand holding a phone with a black screen in a pixelated text saying, "Your phone has been interrupted due to a meteor about to hit Earth. Seek shelter immediately." A distorted voice was reading the message in the background. Then it cut to the dad Triceratops from Save the Dinosaur pointing at the meteor on the sky. There was also crowd screaming playing in the background as well. What's that thing in the sky? The dad Triceratops wondered. The dad Triceratops's face changed into a shocked face as he saw the meteor heading straight for them. Oh gosh, he gasped. It's the N62 meteor. I gotta get to the shelter quickly. That's why people around the world are panicking. It cut to a man in a road with 7 vehicles driving to the left. As the crowd panicking sounds stopped. Warning, N62 meteor is about to hit Earth in less than 1 minute. The man warned, as the cars drove away. Oh gosh, I gotta run. The man panicked. As he ran away, the scene cut to a sign on a road saying "Help protect the planet." with a helicopter crashing into the sign. The person in the helicopter was questioning what the F at the same time. After the helicopter fell, it exploded for a second. It cut back to the Wonder Pets in the public shelter. I heard someone said that the world is about to end in less than 1 minute. Linny gasped. Who was it? Ming Ming wondered. I don't know, Linny answered. Okay then. Ming Ming accepted. It cut to the back side of a car driving in a street for 2 seconds. Then it cut to traffic in a road. A car was in a hole while the meteor was soaring slowly. It went on for 4 seconds. Then the scene shows a car tripped over a rock while driving and flew straight to the public shelter. It then crashed to the shelter. Oh great. Another crashed vehicle, Linny muttered. It then cut to 3 people hiding under a table in a basement. They were covering themselves. I'm scared, one of them said. It cut to a cliff where a car was backing up from the back. It then fell while the person in the car was screaming. It then cut to a taxi driving in a city street. 4 people were running to it. Come on, there's a taxi, one of them reminded. As they got in, the taxi drove away. As the taxi was driving, the meteor appeared again. It was soaring down through the sky. The taxi then crashed into the shelter. Oh gwet. Another crashed vehicle again, Ming Ming muttered. This is the 5th time a vehicle crashed into the shelter, Tuck muttered. Oh man, I don't want to die here. A man shouted. Calm down please, we'll all be safe and sound. A lady asked. Everyone, I think it's time. A broken bar, Linny muttered nervously. Then the announcer spoke in the intercom. Attention, N62 meteor is about to hit the Earth in 10 seconds. The countdown begins now. What? The team gasped. Yep, I was right, Linny said. The 10-second countdown began, but in every second, there were shots. Scenes that transitioned. The countdown voice was from the announcer. The transitions were 10. A man running in a street. 9. 2 cars were on fire after they crashed. 8. The 3 people hiding under a table in a basement. 7. The traffic. 6. The Ease-Mock from Canada. 5. The helicopter on fire after it crashed to the Earth protection sign. 4. Ollie and his parents driving. 3. A car falling through the sky. 2. A man riding at the top of a van. 1. The school where the Wonder Pets live. 0. The meteor about to hit the ground, as the Malaysia Ease alarm played in the background. After the meteor finally hit the ground, it exploded, severely destroying everything, except for the public shelter. It cut to the schoolhouse getting destroyed from the explosion. It then cut to a scene of a car flying from the explosion while driving. Then it cut to a city getting completely destroyed from the explosion for 5 seconds. This is a disaster, I gasped. It then cut back to the Wonder Pets in the shelter, covering themselves, while tan smoke and flames are flying around. What's happening? Ming Ming cried. I think this is IT, Tuck shouted. No, this can't be, Ming Ming replied. Well team, IT's been a pleasure to meet you. Goodbye, Linny shouted. Goodbye, Tuck and Ming Ming yelled. The team hugged each other preparing for the end as the scene faded to black. The black screen went on for a few seconds, until a bright figure of the Wonder Pets faded in. There was an adult male voice spoke in the background. Wake up, Wonder Pets. The voice spoke. Who is it? Linny asked tiredly, off screen. It's me, Josh Selig. The voice spoke. Josh. Selig. Tuck questioned tiredly. Off screen. I got to ask you 3. Is the series over? The voice asked. What? Tuck questioned tiredly. Off screen. If yes, it is. If no, it's not. So pick a choice. Never mind. Anyways, it's over. The voice spoke. Then the bright figure faded out slowly. It then faded to the Wonder Pets waking up from their blackout, and everyone got out of the shelter and looked around. This is the end, Ming Ming gasped. Of course it is, Linny agreed. It then cut to the Wonder Pets walking through a destroyed city looking concerned. Oh no, Tuck gasped. The Earth is destroyed. There are piles of debris everywhere, Ollie stated. After that, it showed the schoolhouse now in ruins. Linny, Tuck and Ming Ming ran to their schoolhouse only to find it destroyed. What happened to our schoolhouse? Linny questioned. Well, It got caught in the explosion after that. It now is destroyed, the firefighter explained. Linny, Tuck and Ming Ming started to feel down along with the cow, the kitten, the dog, the dish and spoon, the hummingbird and his dad, the unicorn, the dragon, Granny Ginny, Bernie, Granny Winnie, Buck, Marvin and Auntie Lenora. It then cut to a red message saying thanks for watching Wonder Pets for about 5 seconds. The credits, from season 3, rolled, but something was different. The sky was red, the text was white, and the clouds were moving fast. And the music was replaced with memorable piano music in a loud volume. After the credits it then showed the Little Airplane Productions 2009 logo, but something was off. At the end, the logo was in a red tint, the littleplane.com text was replaced with littleplane.x in a red color. The nose had a creepy face, and a text saying nightmares was on the bottom of the logo. It then zoomed out of the logo, and there were kids screaming and loud noises in the background for 10 seconds. Soon afterwards, it showed the Nickelodeon Productions 2009 logo, but something was horrifyingly off. At the end of the logo, the background was red, the logo said Voidlodian in a white color, the Productions text said Killerductions in a creepy black color, and the copyright notice changes as well. There were a lot of distorted, creepy, terrifying and loud noises and scares playing in the background for 3 seconds. It then cut to black for 3.5 seconds. After that, it then cut to a VHS static for 2.5 seconds. Then it cut to an aqua background with the text on the top saying thanks for saving days with the Wonder Pets, and there were the Wonder Pets on the bottom dancing. It then faded to black and ended. I was traumatized of what I saw. After that, it then cut back to the main menu. I then took out of the DVD, went outside, and threw the DVD on the floor. I smashed the DVD with a hammer and threw it away in the trash. I guess I should start watching the Wonder Pets less. The long road home seemed to go on and on. The road continued to stretch in front of the vehicle endlessly. The light that shone through the branches of the tall, green trees danced across the window in random patterns, and every once and a while, obnoxiously shining in your eyes. The surroundings were full of deep green trees forming a forest around the road. The only sound was the sound of the car's engine as it traveled down the path. It was peaceful and left a serene feeling. Although the ride seemed like a nice one, it lacked every form of a nice from its 2 passengers. The middle-aged woman behind the steering wheel had neat short brown hair that fit her complexion quite well. She wore a green V-neck t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. Diamond stud earrings decorated each of her ears, which partially showed from behind her haircut. She had deep green eyes, which her shirt brought out, and the lighting seemed to make them more noticeable. There wasn't anything significant about her appearance. She looked like any other average mother you would see on TV shows and the like. However, the one thing that made her different than the average mothers was the dark bags she had under her eyes. Her facial expression was gloomy and sad, although she genuinely looked like someone who smiled a lot. Advertisements she would sniffle every once and a while, and occasionally glance in the rear-view mirror to look at her son in the back seat, who was hunched over partially, with his arms held tight around his chest, and his head pressed against the cold window. The boy lacked any normal appearance, and anyone could plainly see there was something wrong with him. His messy brown hair went every which way, and the luminescent lighting brought out his pale, almost grey skin. His eyes were dark, unlike his mother's, and he wore a white t-shirt and scrub pants that had been provided for him by the hospital. The clothes he had worn before were so shredded and blood-stained that they weren't wearable anymore. The right side of his face bared a few cuts along with a split eyebrow. His right arm was bandaged all the way to the shoulder, which had been shredded when his right side hit the shattered glass. His injuries appeared to be painful, when in reality he couldn't feel anything. This was just one of the glories of being him. One of the challenges he had to face while growing up was growing up with a rare disease that caused him to be completely numb towards pain. Never before had he felt himself get hurt. He could have lost an arm and felt nothing. The other major disorder he had faced which was the one that deemed him many insulting nicknames in the short time he attended grade school before he switched to homeschooling, was his Tourette's syndrome, which caused him to tick and twitch in ways he couldn't control. He would crack his neck uncontrollably and twitch every once in a while. The kids would tease him and call him Ticci Toby, and they mocked him with exaggerated twitching and laughing. It got so bad he had to turn to homeschooling. It was too hard for him to be in a common learning environment with seemingly every kid poking, or more like stabbing, fun at him. Toby stared blankly out the window, his face empty of any emotion, and every few minutes his shoulder, arm, or foot would twitch. Every bump that the car tires hit would make his stomach turn. Toby Rogers was the boy's name, and the last time Toby remembered riding in a car was when it crashed. That's all he thought about, unconsciously replaying everything he remembered before he blacked out. Over and over again. Toby had been the lucky one, his sister had not been so lucky. When the thought of sister came, he couldn't help the tears that welled up in his eyes. The horrible memories replayed in his mind. Her screaming that had cut off when the front of the car was smashed in. It all went blank for a moment before Toby opened his eyes to see his sister's body, her forehead pierced with glass shards, her hips and legs crushed under the force of the steering wheel, and her torso pushed in from the too late inflated airbag. That was the last thing he had seen of his dear older sister. Advertisements. The road home continued on for what seemed like forever. It took so long to get home because his mom wanted to avoid the sight of the crash. When the surroundings gave way to a familiar neighborhood, they were both more than ready to get out of the car and step back into their own home. It was an older neighborhood with quaint little houses all next to each other. The car drove in front of a blue house with white window panes. They both quickly noticed the old vehicle that was parked in front of the house, and the familiar figure that stood in the driveway. Toby felt automatic anger and frustration take over him at the sight of his father. His father who wasn't there. His mother pulled the car up in the driveway beside him before turning off the engine and preparing to step out and face her husband. "Why is he here?" Toby said quietly as he looked back at his mother who reached to open the car door. "He's your father, Toby. He's here because he wants to see you," his mother responded in a monotone voice, trying to sound less shaky. Yet couldn't drive up to the hospital to see Lyra before she died. Toby narrowed his eyes out the window. He was drunk that night, honey. He couldn't drive. Yeah, when is he not? Toby pushed the door open before his mother and stumbled out onto the driveway where he met his father's gaze before looking down at his feet with a stern expression. His mother stepped out behind him and met her husband's eyes before walking around the car. His father opened up his arms, expecting a hug from his wife, but she walked past him and put her arm around Toby's shoulder and started leading him inside. "Connie," her husband began in a raspy voice. "What, no welcome home hug, huh?" She ignored her husband's obnoxious words and walked past him with her son under her arm. "Hey, he's 16, he can walk by himself." His father began to follow them in. "He's 17, Connie glared back at him before opening the door to the house and stepping inside. "Toby, why don't we get you in your room to rest, okay? I'll come get you when dinner is ready." "No, I'm 16. I can walk by myself," Toby said sarcastically and glared back at his father before stumbling up the small staircase and turning into his room, where he slammed the door violently. His little room didn't have much in it, just a small bed, a dresser, a window, and his walls had a few picture frames of his family, back when they were a family, before his father became an alcoholic and acted violently toward the rest of his family. Toby remembered when he was arguing with his mom and he grabbed her by the hair and shoved her to the floor, and when Lyra had tried to break it up, he pushed her and she hit her back on the corner of the kitchen counter. Toby could never forgive him for what he did to his mother and sister. Never. Toby didn't care how much his father beat him down. He couldn't feel it anyway. What he did care about was how he intentionally hurt the only two people he cared about. And when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breaths, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad. Toby stood by the window and looked out at the street. He could have sworn he saw something out of the corner of his eye, but quickly blamed it on the meds he was on. When dinner time had come and his mother called up to him, Toby came down the stairs and hesitantly sat down at the table across from his father, and in between his mother and an empty chair. It was quiet as his parents picked at their food, but Toby refused to eat. Instead, he just watched his dad with a blank stare. His mother caught onto his staring and elbowed him slightly. Toby looked over at her slightly and then down at his uneaten food, which he still didn't touch. Toby laid in B. He pulled his covers over his head and stared at the window. He was tired, but there was no way he would fall asleep. He couldn't. There was too much to think about. He had been debating on whether or not to follow his mother's directions and forgive his father, or continue holding a grudge with his boiling hatred. He heard his door creak open and his mother padded into the room and sat on the bed next to him. She reached over and rubbed his back, which had been turned to her. "I know it's hard, Toby, trust me, I understand, but I promise you it will get better," she said softly. "When is he going to leave?" Toby said with an innocent tone in his shaky voice. Connie let her gaze fall down to her feet. "I don't know, honey, he's staying as far as I know," she replied. Toby didn't respond. He just continued to look forward at the wall, holding his damaged arm near his chest. After a few minutes of silence, his mother sighed before she leaned in to kiss his cheek and stood up to walk out of the room. "Good night," she said as she closed the door. The hours passed slowly, and Toby couldn't quit tossing and turning. Every time he let his imagination take over, he heard the screeching of tires, the screaming of his sister, and he would uncontrollably jerk in bed. He threw off his cover, and lying on his back, he pulled his pillow over his face and cried into it. He could hear his own pitiful weeping. He would have been screaming and crying if he didn't press his pillow over his face. After a few seconds, he threw the pillow off his face and sat up, hunched over, holding his head and breathing roughly, tears streaming from his eyes. He couldn't help but cry. He tried to keep it in, but he couldn't stop the whining and whimpering as he sat there shaking. He inhaled before he stood up and walked around his bed to the window and peered out, taking deep breaths trying to calm down. He rubbed his eyes and looked out at the group of tall pine trees across the street. He stopped suddenly, and his gaze slowly centered on something standing under the street light. He heard ringing in his ears and couldn't look away. The figure stood beside the street light, about 2 feet shorter than it did, long arms draped at its sides as it stared up at him with non-existing eyes. The figure had no facial features to speak of, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, yet it held Toby's hypnotized stare, seemingly peering into his very being. The ringing in his ears grew louder and louder each second he stared before suddenly it all went black. The next morning Toby woke in his bed. He felt different. He wasn't tired at all, and when he consciously woke up, it felt like he had been lying there awake for hours. He had no thoughts flowing through his mind. He sat up slowly and stumbled over to the wall. But when he stood he automatically felt dizzy. He stumbled to the doorway and walked down the stairs. His parents were sitting at the table. His father was tuned into the small TV that sat on the countertop, and his mother was reading the newspaper. She quickly looked over when she felt Toby's presence looming behind her. "Well, good morning, sleepyhead. You've been sleeping forever," she greeted him with a hesitant smile. Toby slowly looked over at the clock and noticed that it was 12:30 p.m. "I made you breakfast but it got cold. I was going to wake you but I felt you needed sleep." Her expression fell from happy to worried as her son resisted responding to her. "Are you all right?" Toby stumbled over and sat by his father. He felt as if he was on idle and had no control over his actions. He was seeing everything he did, but I didn't register in his brain properly. He reached out to his father's arm, but his hand ended up getting slapped. His father turned to him abruptly and pushed his chair over with his foot. "Don't touch me, boy," he yelled. His mother stood up. "All right, know that off. That is the last thing we need." The days went by, and things continued on as they were. Connie spent most of her time cleaning the house, and her rude husband spent most of his time ordering her around. It was just like how it used to be before the crash. Toby never really left his room. He would sit by his bed and tremble. His mind would wander, but his thoughts changed too fast to be remembered. He would pace around his small room like a caged animal or stare out the window. The unhealthy cycle continued. Connie continued to be pushed around by her husband, being way too submissive to him, and Toby remained in his room. Before he could think twice, he would begin to chew on his hands, tearing the flesh from his fingers. He would gnaw his hands until they bled. When his mother walked in on him while he was doing so, she reacted horribly. She rushed him downstairs and grabbed the first aid kit, wrapping his hands in bandages. Afterward, she demanded that he wouldn't leave her side again. Toby isolated himself so much that he grew to hate being around others. His memory grew glitchy as well. He'd start missing memory of minutes, hours, days, and so on. He would begin talking nonsense about things completely unrelated to the conversations he would have. He'd go off about seeing things, sharks in the sink as he washed the dishes, hearing crickets in his pillows, and seeing ghosts outside his bedroom window. His mother grew so anxious about his mental health that she decided it would be good for him to talk to a professional about what he was feeling. Connie walked Toby into the building, holding his hand and guiding him in. She walked him up to the front desk and began talking to the lady who sat behind it. "Mrs. Rogers?" the lady asked. "Yes, that's me." Connie nodded. "We're here to see Dr. Oliver. I'm here with Toby Rogers." "Yes, right this way." The lady stood and led them down a long hallway. Toby looked at the framed artwork down the halls and tuned into the sound of the lady's high heels on a hardwood floor. She opened the door to a room with a table and 2 chairs. "If we can get him to sit in here for a few minutes, I'll get the doctor." She smiled and held the door open. Toby stumbled into the room and sat down at the table. He looked over at his mother and the lady before the door slowly shut behind them. He looked around the room before he held up his tightly bandaged hands and began to bite at the bandages to unwrap his hands. But he was interrupted as the door swung open and a young woman in a black and spotted dress with light blonde hair stepped in, holding a clipboard and a pen. "Toby?" she asked with a smile. Toby looked up at her and nodded. "Nice to meet you, Toby. My name is Dr. Oliver." She put her hand out for him to shake but hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hands. "Oh," she smiled nervously before clearing her throat and sitting in the chair across the table from him. "So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Try to answer them as honestly as possible, okay?" She placed her clipboard down on the table. Toby nodded slowly and held his restrained hands in his lap. "How old are you, Toby?" "Advertisement 17, he responded quietly. She wrote that down on the paper that was clipped to the clipboard. "What is your full name?" "Toby Aaron Rogers." "When is your birthday?" "April 28th. "Who is your immediate family?" Toby paused for a minute before answering her question. "My mom, my dad, and a broken bar." He stopped. "And my sister." "I heard about your sister, dear. A broken bar. I'm really sorry." Her expression faded into a sad pity-filled look. Toby nodded. "Do you remember anything from the crash, Toby?" Toby looked away from her. His mind went blank for a moment. He looked down at his lap, and in the surrounding area, he heard a faint ringing sound. His eyes widened and he froze in place. "Toby?" the counselor asked. "Toby, are you listening?" Toby felt a shiver go down his spine until he froze once again and slowly looked over out the little window through the door, where he saw it, a dark featureless figure, peering in at him. He stared, eyes widened, the ringing growing louder and louder until suddenly the loud voice of the counselor broke his trance. "Toby!" she yelled. Toby jumped and fell sideways out of his chair and backed up into the corner. Dr. Oliver stood up, holding her clipboard to her chest, a surprised look in her eyes. Toby met her eyes again, his breath hitching as he twitched. That night Toby lay in bed. His eyes were dazed as he stared straight up at his ceiling. He could feel himself begin to doze off when he heard the scattering of footsteps down his hallway. He sat up and looked towards the doorway, his door wide open. There was no light. Everything was lit by the luminescent blue glow of the moon through his window, leaving a cold lighting. He stood up and slowly made his way toward the doorway when suddenly the door, which previously was wide open, slammed in his face. He gasped and fell back. He was out of breath when he hit the ground and he began breathing heavily, his eyes wide open. He waited for a few seconds before getting back on his feet. He reached out and grasped the cold door handle with his bandaged hand and it creaked open. He looked out into the dark hallway and tiptoed out of his room. The window at the end of the hallway lit up the darkness with blue moonlight as he padded his way down. He could hear footsteps rustling around him, and faint giggling followed by the pitter-patter of small feet, which sounded like a child had run in front of him, giggling and running around. The hallway was a lot longer than he remembered. It seemed endless, a broken bar like the ride home from the hospital. He heard the door creak in front of him. "Mum?" he called in a shaky voice. Suddenly a door slammed behind him and he jumped and turned around. Behind him, he heard a long eerie groan that sounded like croak right in his ear. He turned around as fast as he could and was suddenly face to face with none other than his dead sister. Her eyes were clouded white, her skin pale, the right side of her jaw dangling the by tissue and muscle, glass protruding from her forehead, black blood leaking down her face. Her blonde hair pulled up in a ponytail as it always was, and she was wearing her grey t-shirt and athlete shorts, which were dirty and spotted with blood. Her legs were bent in ways they shouldn't be. She stood emitting a long croaking noise only an inch away from Toby's face. Toby yelped and fell back. He started to crawl backward away from her, but he was unable to break the eye contact he held with her blank, dead eyes. He dragged himself backward until he backed up into something. He stopped for a second. Everything was dead silent except for his heavy breathing and crying. He slowly looked up to meet the blank face of a tall dark figure, the same figure that stood over him now. Behind the tall dark mass were rows of children looking to range from 3 to 10 years old. Their eyes completely black and dark black blood leaked from their eye sockets. He screamed and stood up as fast as he could, only to be tripped by dark black tendrils that wrapped around his ankle. He fell straight on his stomach and got the wind knocked out of him. He tried to scream but he couldn't make a sound. He wheezed out before it all went black. Toby woke with a start. He screamed out and sat up as fast as he could, completely short of breath. He wheezed out and held his chest with his bandaged hands. It was just a dream, a broken bar. Just a dream. He lay back down on his bed and rolled over on his side. It felt like against weight had been lifted off his chest as he took in deep breaths. He stood up and padded over to his window. He saw nothing. Nobody was out there. No ghosts. No figures. Nothing. He heard the rustling and coughing of his father outside the doorway. His door was closed. Advertisements. He walked over and opened it. Looking out into the hallway once again, he padded down the hallway and into the kitchen where he found his dad standing and having a smoke in their living room. Toby waited for a second and watched him from around the corner before a burning feeling started deep in his chest. Deep boiling anger overtook him. He heard the little imaginary voices in his head. "Do it, do it, do it," they chanted. He turned away and held his arms. He felt like he actually had control over himself, unlike he did for the past few weeks since he got home from the hospital. He actually had complete thoughts for just moments before the chanting of the little voices in his head clouded them. Kill him, he wasn't there, he wasn't there, kill him, kill him, they continued on. Toby trembled. No, he wasn't going to do it. What? Was he going crazy? He won't kill anyone. He can't. He hated his father, but there was no way he was going to kill him. That was it. The last thought he had before he fell into an idle state once again. The influence of the voices in his head was too much. He began to silently walk up behind his father. He reached over the counter to the knife in the case. He gripped it in his hand. He felt the sensation take over his chest. He let out a snicker. Hey, a broken bar, a broken bar, ha ha ha. He began laughing so hard he had to gasp for breath. His father turned around abruptly before he felt a brute force shove him to the floor. He grunted as the air was knocked out of him. What? He looked up at the boy who stood over him, grasping the kitchen knife in his hand. Toby, what are you doing? He went to sit up and put his arms out in front of him in self-defense, but before he knew it, Toby was on top of him. He went to grab his neck, but his father reached out and blocked his hand by grabbing onto his wrist. "Stop, get off of me, you little fucker," he yelled, and with his other hand he threw an off-center punch towards Toby's shoulder, but he didn't stop. The look in Toby's eyes was not sane. It looked as if a demon had taken control of him. He yelled back and went to stab the knife into his father's chest, but his father blocked him and grabbed onto his wrist once again. He went to shove him back, but Toby kicked his feet out in front of him and landed a hard blow straight to his father's face. His father recoiled and pulled his arms away to cuff his face, but Toby got back up and drove the knife straight into his shoulder. His father let out a loud cry and went to pull the knife out, but before he could, Toby threw his fist straight into his face. He began to pound his fists into his head, laughing and wheezing. He cracked his neck and grabbed the knife and ripped it out of his father's shoulder. He drove it deep into his dad's chest and repeatedly stabbed into his torso, blood spilling out and getting splattered everywhere. He didn't stop until his father's body went still. He threw the knife over to the side and leaned over his body, coughing and panting. He stared at his father's smashed-in face and sat there twitching until a loud scream broke the silence. He looked over to see his mother standing a few feet away, covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Toby," she screamed, "why did you do that?" She cried. "Why?" she screamed. Toby stood up and began to back away from his father's bloody corpse. He began to back out of the kitchen. He looked down at the blood-soaked bandages on his hands and looked up at his mother one last time before he turned and ran out of the house. He ran into the garage and slammed his hand against the control panel on the wall and pushed the button to open the garage door. Before he ran out, he noticed his father's hatchets, which had been hanging on a tool rack above a table full of jars, filled to the brim with old rusted nails and screws. One of the hatchets was new, it had a bright orange handle and a shiny blade, and the other was old with a wooden handle and an old, dull blade. He grabbed both and looked down at the table and he saw a box of matches, and under the table was a red gasoline tank. He held both of the hatchets in one hand and grabbed two matches and gasoline before running out of the garage, down the driveway and up the street. As he approached the streetlights that he could see out his own bedroom window, he heard police sirens in the distance. He turned around and the red and blue flashing lights came rushing down the street. Toby stood for a second before he pulled open the cap on the gasoline tank and ran down the street, spilling gasoline all over the street after him. He turned and ran into the trees. He poured the last bit of gasoline out before he reached into his pocket and pulled out a match. He struck it against the box and immediately dropped it. In an instant, flames burst around him. The fire caught on the trees and bushes around him, and before he knew it, he was surrounded by fire. The silhouettes of police cars were visible through the flames as he backed away into the forest around him. He looked around but his vision was blurred, his heart was pounding, and he closed his eyes for a moment. This was it. This was the end. Toby felt a hand on his shoulder. He opened his eyes and looked over to see a large white hand with long bony fingers resting on his shoulder. He followed the arm that was attached to the hand up to a dark, towering figure. It appeared to be wearing a dark black suit, and its face was completely blank. It towered over Toby's small frame as it looked down on him. Tendrils reached out from its back. Before Toby knew it, his vision blurred and he heard the sound of ringing in his ears. Everything went blank. That was it. That was the end. That was how Toby Rogers died. A few weeks later, Connie sat in her sister's kitchen. His sister, Lori, sat next to her drinking a cup of coffee. About 3 weeks ago, Connie lost her husband and her son, and a few weeks before, she had lost her daughter to a car crash. Since then she moved in with her sister. The police were keeping her busy. They had just finished cleaning up the case, and the story had been released 2 weeks ago. The focus of the world seemed to have shifted to completely new stories. Lori switched the TV on to a news broadcast. On the TV, the news reporter began introducing the new headline. "We have breaking news. Last night there have been reported the murder of 4 individuals. There are no suspects yet, but the victims were a group of middle school kids who had been out in the woods late last night. The kids had been bludgeoned and stabbed to death. The investigators have discovered a weapon at the crime scene. It appears to be an old, dull blade hatchet. As you can see here, the picture changed to show snapshots of the weapon exactly as it was left at the crime scene. Investigators have pulled the name of a possible suspect, Toby Rogers, a 17-year-old boy who stabbed his father to death a few weeks ago and tried to cover up his escape by setting a fire in the streets and forest area around the neighborhood. Although they believed the young boy had died in the fire, investigators suspect Rogers might still be alive, due to the fact that his body was never found. Before we start, I like to tell the people who have been living under rocks about a show from 2005 called Jack's Big Music Show. The show is about a puppet named Jack, his best friend Mary, his dog Mel and their rhythmic neighbors, the Schwartzman Quartet. In every episode, they meet special guests and see different music videos from their marvelous music machine. There is only one problem. Because our story begins here broken bar. I just minding my business, putting away toys that my son played with. Just then, I heard the doorbell rang. Huh? I asked, confused. Who's at the door? I went to the door and opened it, and it was a package. I opened up the package and it was a Jack's Big Music Show DVD. The DVD cover had Jack, Mary and Mel in a background of the clubhouse with a text above them saying Jack's Big Music Show, rocking the complete clubhouse series. I then opened the DVD and put it in the DVD player and got ready to watch it. It started with the Nick Jr. Frogs logo, but the frogs looked like rock stars. They had some black shades, black hair, vests and shirts with skulls on them, and when the blue frog croaked, he freaking screamed like a heavy rock star. It cut to the menu, which featured the three main characters playing their instruments. I pressed play to watch all of the episodes featured. The DVD started at the first episode from 2005 called Little Bad Wolf and ended at the last episode from 2007 called Jack and the Beanstalk. However, after all the episodes played, there was another one featured in the DVD, but before it could play, there was a warning. But it was in the same format as the text in the credits, as Mel was popping up. Warning, we hate to stop the music fun here, but this DVD contains a lost episode which was originally made for season 3, was made by a former puppeteer of Spiffy Pictures. He goes by the name of Joe Goodman. He was fired for his gruesome episode ideas for our shows. It is highly recommended that you watch with caution. With that being said, let's continue to rock this clubhouse. Let's see what he had planned. I stated. The theme song then played, but the music playing was a heavy metal recreation of the theme song, and the sky was heavy metal when Jack introduced himself and welcomed the viewers to his clubhouse. He asked the viewers something else. Say, are you ready to rock and roll? Jack asked, and the kids cheered as he asked that. The theme song played until it got to the end where Jack pulled down the logo on the poster with his hand. The background was black, the text was in a heavy metal font, and a guitar was the eye and there was steam behind the back. After that weird intro, the episode began. The episode played with Jack, Mary, Mel playing Weekend from Sonic Heroes. I laughed a bit as they were playing video game music. After they played video game music, they stopped playing their instruments, put them away, and they started to speak with a conversation. Gee whiz, Mary and Mel. Jack told Mary and Mel, isn't this a super swell day to play music? Of course, it is, Jack. Mary replied, isn't this right, Mel? Yeah, I can play my drums all day long. Mel spoke in the voice of Numbu2 from Codename Kids Next Door. This was shocking to me. Mel has never spoken before. Well, that's great to hear. Me, wait a minute. Jack screamed. Jack and Mary gasped. Mel? Jack questioned. You can talk? Mary gasped. You mean, I can talk? Mel asked Jack and Mary. You guys talk. So why can't I? I usually communicate by barking. How a broken bar? How is that even possible? Mel? Jack questioned in confusion and horror. Not sure, Mel answered, but I have so much to say, since I ate some alphabet soup yesterday. Just then, the doorbell to Jack's clubhouse rang. Come in, Jack, Mary and Mel called in song. When the door opened, Sheldon the grumpy squirrel walked in. Hi, Sheldon, Jack greeted. How are you doing? Sheldon then got angry as his face turned red with steam coming out of his ears. Hey, don't you hi, Sheldon. How are you doing me? Sheldon berated. I'm never gonna get any sleep because of that loud freaking music you all have been playing. This was really stunning to me. Sheldon was never that pissed in the show. Jack, Mary and Mel were confused of why they wouldn't play music this loud at all. Sheldon, we wouldn't play that loud at all, Mary corrected. Yeah, Mel agreed. You know, we can't be playing so loud and noisy with our instruments. Sheldon got confused and scratched his head. Wait, a broken bar? Then a broken bar if you wouldn't play that loud? Who would? Sheldon wondered. The three walked outside and gasped. What the three were seeing was a smooth jazz concert. The smooth jazz concert looked like the side from a building from the Robot Chicken sketch called Sesame Street Meets Blade. There was also a sign reading Smooth Jazz Today with lots of smooth jazz posters on the wall. Sheldon, what is that? Jack asked Sheldon. This is a smooth jazz concert. Sheldon answered. A smooth jazz concert? Mel wondered. Is that right? Mary questioned. That's what you think, Sheldon told them as he let out a calm smile. Follow me. Smooth jazz rhythms, here we come. Jack, Mary, Mel, Sheldon walked inside the smooth jazz concert, and when they got inside, they realized that it wasn't a smooth jazz concert at all. Wait a minute, Jack gasped. This doesn't look like a smooth jazz concert. It showed lots of angry people throwing empty beer bottles on their heads and doing mosh pits. And everyone here looks pissed, Mary stated. Jack, Mary, Mel and Sheldon walked past the angry mob. That's why they're here, Sheldon replied. This is where the smooth jazz is gonna be. Just then, Mel bumped into a vest with spikes. Ouch, Sheldon grunted. This big guy's jacket's sharp. This clothing's not supposed to be scary and dangerous. Mary whimpered. Forget this. Let's just stick around. Mel reminded. At least what they're gonna play is good. Turns out, the people on stage were playing freaking heavy metal. Never mind. A devastated Mel sighed. The people on the stage started playing Master of Puppets by Metallica. Why are they so angry? Sheldon gasped. This isn't smooth at all, Mel told Jack, Mary and Sheldon. Jack, Mary, Mel, Sheldon covered their ears because of how loud the music was. Make it stop, Jack shouted. It is so loud and noisy. Mary agreed. Just then, Sheldon got scared of the people playing heavy metal. I don't like this music. Sheldon panicked. I think a broken bar. I'm getting out of this concert. Sheldon then screamed as he ran towards an exit door nearby and escaped the smooth jazz concert. This isn't smooth, guys, Mel muttered. It's rough. Suddenly, Jack, Mary and Mel started turning evil. What a broken bar is happening? A broken bar to US? Jack gasped. Jack now had a mohawk with a vest and spiky shoes. Mary now had a vest with spikes and her hair was black. Mel now had a heavy metal hat with shirt that had a skull on it. He was complete red tinted, and he even also had shades as well. Jack, Mary and Mel decided to go heavy metal. We are so ready to rock this clubhouse, Jack yelled. Yeah, Mary and Mel agreed. It then cut to the Schwartzman Quartet, who were outside the clubhouse, waiting for Jack and the gang. Please, let us in. The Schwartzman Quartet spoke in song. Yeah, let us in now, a member of the quartet agreed in song. Just then, Sheldon ran to them. Fellas, Sheldon spoke, looking very scared. Sheldon alerting the Schwartzman. The Schwartzman Quartet turned around only to see Sheldon. Look, I don't want to alarm you guys, but Jack and his friends have fallen into the heavy metal side. Sheldon told the quartet. That doesn't sound good. Another member of the quartet gasped in song. I know it doesn't, Sheldon replied. Run for your life. The Schwartzman Quartet nodded and ran. but it wasn't long until Jack approached them. Schwartzman. Sheldon gasped. No, hey there, Schwartzman. Jack greeted. Jack, a second member of the quartet, asked in song. What happened to you? I have now fallen into the heavy metal side. Schwartzman. Jack answered. What? The Schwartzman quartet gasped. Just then, Jack pulled out his guitar and played loud music. The Schwartzman quartet covered their ears and screamed due to how loud the music was. Just then Jack hit the Schwartzman quartet with his guitar, doing an instant kill bump on them. But the episode was not over yet. It then cut to Earl the squirrel, who was minding his business. Just then, Sheldon ran to Earl. Sheldon told Earl, I have bad news. What is it, Sheldon? Earl asked. Jack and his gang have gone heavy metal, and they just killed the Schwartzman. Sheldon alerted. Uh-oh, Earl gasped. I have to stop them. Don't you do it, Sheldon warned. You're gonna get dunked on. Sheldon ran away to alert someone else. Earl, on the other hand, went to Jack his friends to confront them. Stop right there, Earl berated. Who in the name of la DD are you? Jack asked. Guys? Earl wondered. Is that you? Yes, Earl. Mary confirmed. What happened to you guys? Earl asked. We fell into the heavy metal side. Mel told Earl. We're gonna rock this clubhouse in heavy metal style, Jack added. No, you can't do that, Earl protested. You're hurting people. We don't care, Jack declared. We're gonna rock this clubhouse no matter what. What? Earl gasped. Jack, Mary and Mel started playing their instruments very loudly. Earl screamed and covered his ears due to how loud the music was. Just then, Earl's head exploded with cotton due to being a puppet. But it was not over yet. It then cut to the Henry the Monster, getting ready to scare people. Just then, Sheldon ran into the shot. Henry. Sheldon told Henry, I have a big problem. What is it? Henry asked. Jack, Mary, and Mel have gone heavy metal and they're hurting people. Sheldon explained. Oh no, that's not good. Henry gasped. I'll go and talk to them. Sheldon tried to stop him, but Henry went to the clubhouse anyway. Stop this now, Henry yelled as he approached Jack and his gang. We're not going to stop. We're going to rock this clubhouse until we drop, Jack retorted. Please, you're hurting everyone with the loud music, Henry pleaded. We don't care about anyone else, just our music, Mary added. That's it, Henry berated. You leave me with no other option. Henry then roared his loudest. Sheldon covered his ears due to how loud his roaring was. The roaring went on for 1 minute until Henry stopped to realize nothing had happened. Sheldon took his hands off his ears. What? Sheldon asked, confused. Why didn't that work? Not bad, Mel told Henry. It's my turn now. Sure enough, Mel let out a Godzilla roar so loud that Henry covered his ears. After a 5-second pass, Henry's ears exploded with cotton. Because he's a puppet, Sheldon ran off to warn the others. It then cut to the little bad wolf, who was getting ready to huff and puff on his tuba. Just then, Sheldon ran to him. I hate to tell you, Sheldon told the little bad wolf, but Jack and the gang have fallen into the heavy metal side. What? The little bad wolf gasped. That is terrible. I know it is, Sheldon replied. Run for your wolfy life. The little bad wolf nodded and ran, but Jack and his friends teleported in front of them. You go without me, the little bad wolf told Sheldon. Tell my brother I'll miss him. The little bad wolf then blew Sheldon somewhere else. It wasn't clear where he was sentenced. Well, look who it is, Jack revealed. It's the little bad wolf. Of course, it is me, the little bad wolf answered. But what happened to you? We decided to go heavy metal, Jack reminded. Time for you to have a listen to our new tunes. How about no? The little bad wolf berated. Too late, Mel told the little bad wolf. What do you mean? The little bad wolf gasped. Because you need to listen to our new tunes, Jack shouted. Jack and his gang started playing their instruments very loudly. Little bad wolf screamed as he covered his ears. Just then, little bad wolf's head exploded with cotton, due to being a puppet. It then cut to Scat Cat, who was in the smooth jazz concert. Scat Cat looked around and saw the people playing heavy metal. What is this? Scat Cat wondered. This is not smooth jazz. Just then, Jack and his gang approached Scat Cat. Scat Cat, we went heavy metal. Jack told Scat Cat, you can't do that. Scat Cat protested. This is a music show, not a heavy metal concert. We don't care. Mary declared. We're going to rock this clubhouse no matter what. Jack, Mary, and Mel started playing their instruments even louder than before. Instead of exploding, Scat Cat started to turn evil. She now had spikes, a blue mohawk, black shoes, a pair of shades and a black vest. I was confused on what had happened to Scat Cat and questioned to myself on why she didn't die. This is perfect, Jack stated. Let's continue to rock this clubhouse. Yeah, Mary, Mel, Scat Cat yelled. It then cut to Spunky and his band getting ready to perform on Planet Fleaba. But just then, Sheldon, who was wearing a space helmet, arrived with a huge microphone, tapped it to get everyone's attention. Attention people of Planet Fleaba, Sheldon spoke through the mic, in fear. I, Sheldon the Grumpy Squirrel, am afraid that the concert has been cancelled. What? The crowd of Planet Fleaba gasped. Because Jack and the gang are going heavy metal. Sheldon panicked. The crowd gasped in horror after what Sheldon said. I know, Sheldon whimpered. Run for IT. The crowd then ran away as they screamed to evacuate. Spunky. Sheldon told Spunky. Please, move IT. Spunky nodded as he and his band decided to escape. But suddenly Jack, Mary, Mel and Scat Cat. Guys, no, Sheldon screamed. Hey there aliens. Jack greeted sinisterly. Looks like we want to have a little heavy metal music together. Mary agreed. Huh? Spunky and his band asked. Because it is time to rock. Mel and Scat Cat yelled. Jack and the gang started playing their instruments very louder than ever. The song that was playing was AC/DC. Thunderstruck. Spunky and his band screamed while they covered their ears. Suddenly, their heads exploded with cotton everywhere. It then cut to a montage of various Jack's Big Music Show characters getting attacked by Jack his friends, including MC Turtle, Gertrude the Groundhog, Leonard, the Bongo Birds, Phil and the others. It then cut to black for a second. After about 6 seconds, it faded to Sheldon, who was still running for his life. Just then, Jack and the gang teleported in front of Sheldon. Well, Sheldon. Jack told Sheldon. Looks like we finally got you, Jack. Sheldon gasped. Please, think about what you've done. You can't do this. I'm your friend. And what did you do to my music? Be goner. Right here, Jack answered, as he pulled Sheldon's music Be Goner, but it looked different. It was in shades of maroon. The spring was red and so was the button, while the dot on the top of the spring was black called the Be Sent to Hella. Hey, Sheldon gasped. That's my music Be Goner. What have you done to it? No questions. Scat berated. Prepare to be sent to hell, because it's too late. Mel recapped. Your luck has just run out. Please, you don't have to hurt me. Sheldon pleaded. Too late. Mary berated. Prepare to be sent to hell. Oh boy, broken bar, Sheldon muttered, in fear. Here comes the madness. Jack and his friends played their instruments very loudly. The music they were playing was Little Boy You're Going to Hell from South Park. Bigger, longer and uncut. Sheldon screamed and he covered his ears due to how loud the music was. Sheldon, be sent to hell. Jack yelled, as he pushed the button on the Be Sent to Hella. Just then, a portal to hell appeared underneath Sheldon, causing him to fall. Goodbye, Sheldon. Mary screamed. Sheldon screamed as he was falling into the portal, until an explosion was heard in the background. That was a cool one, Jack stated. Now let's rock this clubhouse. It then cut to Jack's clubhouse, now decorated with heavy metal posters, skulls, bones and a throne. Inside, oh my god bro, Jack, Mary, Mel, Scat Cat were shredding their instruments like crazy, screaming at each other while they did it. What the heck is happening? I questioned, already getting confused and scared. Jack, it's almost time to go, Jack's mum called out. Sorry Jack, but you got no other choice now. I laughed, thinking that Jack was gonna obey his mother. However, I was wrong. He said something else rather than coming, Mom. Like in almost every episode, shut your ugly ass up, Jack screamed. I was so shocked and scared that Jack would curse in the show like that. Wait, a broken bar? What? Jack's mum gasped. Jack, what kind of freaky shit is this? You barely understand what this is. It's just a phase, mother. Jack told his mother, and I'm not obeying you because you're stupid. I covered my mouth as he said that. Jack then proceeded to roast his mother. You don't even know how to clean. You don't even know how to wash the sheets. You don't even know how to wash the dishes. You don't know how to clean the stove. You don't even know how to clean the refrigerator. You don't know how to cook the food. The food be nasty. Every time I eat your food it be nasty. You can't cook spaghetti. You can't cook lasagna. You can't cook bread. You can't cook cereal. You can't cook milk. You can't cook water. You can't cook nothing. Holy crap, I muttered. Jack had the balls to do that? What? Jack's mum asked in confusion and horror. Why? Because we are now in a heavy metal style, Jack stated. Heavy metal? Jack's mum questioned in terror. This can't be real. We are now gonna play music for you, fool, Mary reminded. What a day. Uh-oh, a broken bar, Jack's mom whimpered. This can't be good, a broken bar. Jack and his friends started playing their instruments even very louder than ever. The music they were playing was a heavy metal version of the ending theme. Jack's mom could be heard screaming due to how loud the music was. Just then, Jack's mom exploded with cotton, because she was a puppet. Jack then turned to the viewer with an angry look on his face. And you're gonna sleep with one eye open, motherfucker. Jack angrily spoke to the camera. Jack and his friends continued shredding their instruments as they screamed like crazy. It then faded to the outside of Jack's clubhouse, but Jack, Mary, Mel and Scat Cat could still be heard screaming like crazy. The scene then faded to black. It then cut to the credits, but they didn't look normal at all. The background was red. Mel was still in his heavy metal phase. The music that was playing was an instrumental version of Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. It then cut to the logos, and they were also off. The Spiffy Pictures logo came up, but the background was blue and Spiffy looked like a heavy metal rocker. Instead of saying Spiffy, he screamed like a freaking heavy metal rocker singing Baby, don't you know what I'm looking for? The Noggin original logo came up, but the background was a darker shade of blue. The flight dots were black, red, and white, and the Noggin logo looked like his ears were bleeding. He had an upset expression on his face and it had a bloody nose. Also, he had his eye bloodshot. The record horn was broken. Not only that, but it had cracks all over it. There also blood dripping and coming out of it. The crank was drooping. The ribbon had rips all over it, and when the horn let out the birds, they fell to the ground and looked like their legs and wings were sawed off. They also had scars on them, and he somehow started to speak in the voice of Bert from Sesame Street. Help, a broken bar, Noggin sniffled. Please help me, a broken bar, my ears, a broken bar, area, broken bar, bleeding, a broken bar, yeah, broken bar, just don't really like this music, a broken bar. Then the Nickelodeon Hey Pile logo came up, but the Hey Pile color was sky blue with glasses, and the music was replaced with the metal guitar version of the Noed Alexin jingle. I went to get the remote, but before I could, a jump scare popped up. It was an edited picture of Jack from How Mel Got His Groove Back, where he panicked over Mel playing with a ball of yarn, but his eyes were black with red dots. He was crying blood and his mouth was drooling blood. The Godzilla roar and Howie's scream were heard in the background. Holy crap, I yelled. The jump scare then cut to black as it took me back to the main menu. I was terrified after seeing that strange episode, so I emailed my friend Elijah about this. I then took the DVD back into its case and smashed it with a hammer. How could they create the same way to Jack's big music show ever again? The end. Faceless. That's a word I'll never forget after watching this disturbing tape. It all started in 2018. As I was checking my mailbox, I noticed a VHS tape with the word Faceless scribbled on it with a red Sharpie. I picked it up and popped it into my VCR just to see what this was all about. Luckily, my VCR was still perfectly intact and able to function, even after first getting it back in the 90s. What I saw was something entirely different than what I expected it to be. It turned out to be an episode of SpongeBob. There was no intro, no title card, as it just skips to the episode. Squidward woke up in the middle of the night, and went outside to go to work, but he didn't see SpongeBob or Patrick, which was strange. Suddenly, Squidward hears muffled screaming, sounding like SpongeBob and Patrick. Squidward started panicking and checking SpongeBob's house. The door was locked, so he checked Patrick's rock. Nobody to be seen. Then, SpongeBob and Patrick started walking up to him, and the muffled screaming became louder. Squidward saw them. They were faceless. No mouth, no eyes, no nose, nothing. Just their blank, smooth, bland heads. Squidward screamed to the top of his lungs, but nobody could hear him. He ran to the Krusty Krab to see if Mr. Krabs was okay, but he was faceless too. Faceless fishes were sitting at tables trying to eat a patty, but to no luck. Squidward heard even more muffled screaming, as a crowd of people started walking slowly into the Krusty Krab. Squidward ran to Jellyfish Fields, but eventually passed out when he got there. Squidward just woke up in a dark room with a splatter of blood on the walls. He was laying on a surgical table with various painful medical tools right next to him. Squidward was sweating as an unknown fish character approached him and said in a calm voice, "This won't hurt that much." The fish was entirely black, like a shadow, except he had glowing eyes. It cut to a black screen, with Squidward screaming in agony as you could hear blood splattering and him being torn apart, until the screaming stopped. It went back to Squidward, with him waking up at the Jellyfish Fields, trying to scream, but he had no face. Then, the tape ended. Squidward runs from T-Rex. I wish I could just magically erase this from my memory, but no, I still have to live with this memory like a permanent scar. Here's a lesson for you. If you happen to see any VHS tape you didn't order in your mailbox, never play it. Oh, and don't even ask me why I had a VCR in 2018. Everyone knows about the nostalgic TV company Class Geeksapo, the one that made Rugrats and known for being a famous logo. However, there is one logo that is messed up. It was a perfect day, and I was washing the dishes. I later went out the front door. When I opened it, I found a weird VHS tape no one seen before. It was called Rugrats. I was confused at that moment. I never ordered anything, I said. I then took the tape in, popped it into my VHS player, and got ready. It then showed the Nickelodeon logos, and then it went to the episode. However, during that time, there were a list of 6 episodes from the show itself. I was very happy to bring my nostalgia back. After watching the 6 episodes, it played the credits like it would usually do, the music playing in the background when the instrumental of the theme song. The credits then took about 20 seconds to end. After that, it played the Class Geeksapo robot logo from 1998 like it would usually do, but it was off. When the hand was placed Splat's mouth and when his eyes came up, he said Class Geeksapo in a glitchy voice. It then showed the original Class Geeksapo logo, but instead of the boing sound effect like in the original, it had a sound of a computer crashing, which scared the life out of me. After that, the Nickelodeon Haystack logo played as usual, and then it ended. I was so speechless after what I saw. I then took the tape out and put it in the closet. The next day, I contacted Nickelodeon and Class Geeksapo about the logo, and they said that it was made by Ted Carrington, previously known to be making loads of lost episodes and media. That tape will always be remembered. It always will. A broken bar, a broken bar. Before the story begins, I should probably tell you about Wonder Pets in case you are living under a rock. The show is about 3 animals, Tuck, Linny Ming Ming, who help baby animals in danger. However, there was an episode where they get a call from a building where a lot of animals are in danger. I was at McDonald's, ordering the usual, but as soon as I got home, I noticed a box on the kitchen table. I took the box with me to my room and opened it, and inside was a Wonder Pets DVD. The cover consisted of the 3 animals in the classroom with text above them reading out Wonder Pets, Teamwork Forever. In a green circle had text pointing out that a never-before-seen rescue is featured, and I was stumped on what it might be. I knew the only way to watch it was to watch the DVD as a whole, so I took out the disc and put it in the DVD player. The DVD started with the usual Nick Jr. frogs, but something was off. They were dead on the lily pad and their legs looked like they were sawed off. After a few promos, it cut to the DVD menu, which looked pretty nice. The menu consisted of the 3 animals in multicolored boxes, blue for Linny, red for Tuck, green for Ming Ming, with the logo in the middle. I pressed play also that I can not only watch the episodes featured, but to find out what the rare rescue was. However, before any episode could play, there was a warning, but it took place in the sky and the text was in the same style as the credits. The following DVD contains an episode that isn't suitable for younger viewers. Parents got angry when it aired on Nick Jr. and was taken down for graphic scenery. So watch at your own risk. Thank you. Oh, this can't be good, I muttered. The camera then panned down from the warning to the show's logo and the first episode played, which was Save the Tree. The other episodes were Save the Duckling, Save the Turtle, Ollie to the Rescue, Join the Circus, Save the Wonder Pets. The final episode of the DVD played, and, Mother of God, You're Not Gonna Like This One. The intro started, but the differences were that the sky was dark and the logo was covered in chicken nuggets and French fries. After the intro, the title on the easel read out The Wonder Pets Zoo McDonald's. The title left me confused on why they want to do so. The episode started, but the teacher and students have already left the classroom. The tin can phone ringed, but its rings were demonically toned. The 3 animals heard the phone ring and were confused on why its rings sounded demonic. Linny, Tuck spoke. Yes, Tuck, Linny questioned. What's wrong with the phone? Tuck asked. I'm not sure, Tuck, Linny answered. But something's wrong with the phone. Is it broken again? Ming Ming face-palmed. I doubt that, Ming Ming, Linny protested. Let's just get our hats on and answer the phone to see who it is. Tuck Ming Ming nodded and they, along with Linny, grabbed their hats, opened their secret compartments, rushed to the tin can phone. When they got to the phone, Linny picked it up but there was no response. Listen, Linny reminded. Linny looked into the phone and inside was none other than the most famous fast food chain on the block, McDonald's. I was puzzled by the unexpected appearance of the building, and so was the 3 animals. Let me see that, Ming Ming told Linny. I know how to read. But when she snatched the phone from Linny, blood splattered everywhere with screams of various chickens. What was funny about the screams were one chick screamed the Howie scream, one chick screamed the Wilhelm scream, one screamed like the gummy bear from Robot Chicken when she was caught in a bear trap. Pretty soon, Tuck Ming Ming were covered in blood. You, Ming Ming groaned. This is disgusting, Tuck moaned. What was it? Linny asked Ming Ming. Fellas, we got a phone call ... from McDonald's. Ming Ming answered. And ... there are endangered chickens. Oh, okay, Tuck recapped. It wasn't long until Tuck stared directly at the camera with a shocked look on his face. Wait, a broken bar? What? Tuck screamed. We have to help them. Affirmative, Linny agreed. The 3 animals jumped into the costume box to grab their capes. But what was odd is that they didn't goof off like in almost every episode. The 3 animals then ran over to the toy box to build the flyboat. Once they were done, they hopped in to save the chickens before it was too late. We are coming to save you, baby chickens, Ming Ming reminded. Before it's too late. Pretty soon, the flyboat flew out of the classroom into where the McDonald's was located. But when they got there, Mother of Mercy, the restaurant was covered in blood and chicken guts, which made Linny's eyes open wide in shock. Tuck vomit in the flyboat. Ming Ming gasp. this is worse than I thought. Linny gasped. That's when Ming Ming snapped and said, that's it. I'm going in to save them. Wait, don't you think we should come with you? Linny asked. No, I'm gonna teach those maggots a lesson, Ming Ming replied. Oh my gosh. I have never seen Ming Ming yell at Linny before, and I was shocked after hearing what Ming Ming said, as nobody in the show said anything adult-like. Ming Ming flew out of the flyboat and entered the McDonald's building through the drive-through window. Linny drove the flyboat near it and watched as Ming Ming attempted to confront the worker. Hey, Ming Ming shouted, getting a worker's attention. However, the worker spoke in the voice of Lara Jill Miller. What the? Who are you? The worker asked. I am Ming Ming Duckling, and I advise you to stop brutally murdering those chickens before I call the authorities to shut down your business. Ming Ming told the worker. The worker just laughed like crazy as Ming Ming said that. Stop F-king laughing, Ming Ming yelled. This is F-king serious. I gasped after the duckling yelled. I have never seen Ming Ming that angry in my entire lifespan. Well, at least not to you. The worker told Ming Ming, you really think you can shut down one of the most popular fast food chains? I don't think so. Ming Ming got even angrier as she said that and flew towards her and attempted to attack. But suddenly, another worker caught her in a McDonald's bag. Gotcha, ya chicken, he said in the voice of Squidward. Ming Ming tried to escape, but the bag was, somehow, too strong. Just then, the worker grabbed Ming Ming out of the bag and threw her into a deep fryer. Ming Ming screamed as she was being deep fried, but the screaming was rather realistic rather than cartoony. Ming Ming, Tuck gasped. No, oh my god, Linny cried. Linny Tuck then watched as the worker took out Ming Ming's fried body, drained out all of the excess, sliced the fried body, made it as chicken nuggets. Oh my god, Linny gasped. They killed Ming Ming, you bastards. Tuck screamed. I'm gonna shell shock you for that. Tuck then took out what seemed to be nunchucks and charged at the two workers. What are we gonna do about the turtle? Worker 2 asked. What do you make with turtles? Worker 1 asked. Just then, yet another worker pushed both workers to the side with a butcher's knife. I got an idea. Worker 3 said to the two workers with the voice of Chris Rock. We're adding turtle soup to the menu. Turtle what? Tuck gasped. Just then, Worker 3 yeeted Tuck onto a cutting board and began to chop Tuck into pieces. Tuck screamed as he was being chopped to pieces. But his screaming wasn't fake either. Worker 3 then dumped Tuck's chopped remains onto a bowl and made it into turtle soup. Linny hopped back into the flyboat and flew away. It then cut to the back of the restaurant. Linny was then seen crying, but it sounded like her voice actress, Sophie Zamkik, was very upset. I can't believe they had to let themselves die. Linny sobbed. After a short 12 seconds, Linny stopped sobbing. It then cut to inside the McDonald's restaurant, where the workers were serving the dead corpses of Ming Ming Tuck to random customers. Just then, Linny barged into the door like it was made of air and walked to the workers. Is that a hamster? Worker 3 asked. Why, I do believe it is. Worker 2 replied. Terrific. Worker 1 evilly said. Before Worker 1 can grab Linny, Linny teleported out of the shot. What the? Where did it go? Worker 2 asked. Just then, Linny appeared with a fidget spinner, but with a black cape and a dark red cap. Just then, Linny spun the spinner 2 times as the workers gasped. Oh damn, it just double spun. Worker 3 said in a panic. Everyone knows that doing so makes it deadly. Linny then hopped onto Worker 3's head and got ready to kill him. I'm about to kill everyone in this very restaurant, Linny stated, starting ... with this guy. Linny then chopped the head of Worker 3 by jumping off his head and tossing the spinner to his neck. The other workers and customers gasped as Worker 3 died. That hamster is deadly, Worker 1 cried. Linny got pissed as she said that. You asked for IT, Linny yelled. You're all gonna be served. It suddenly cut to static, but I could hear the screams of the workers and customers, as well as blood spluttering, chopping, slicing Linny's demonic laughter. Just then, the static is gone and it showed Linny staring at the screen as her eyes glowed in a dark red. See what happens when you harm animals? Linny sinisterly asked. I'm sorry, but this is for everyone's own good. Linny then summoned a pipe bomb and started it up to destroy the entirety of the McDonald's building. She threw it to the building, disappeared, supposedly teleported away, and the pipe bomb detonated. Heck, even the flyboat was caught in the fiery explosion. The credits later played, but the background was red and the text was black. The music that played was Wounded by Kevin MacLeod. I sat there in complete shock for several moments before finally processing what I had just watched. I couldn't believe that such a violent and disturbing episode was included in a children's show like Wonder Pets. I wondered if the DVD was some sort of bootleg or man-made creation, but the production value and detailed animation made me think otherwise. After the credits, the logos played, but they were different. The Little Airplane Productions logo came up, but the girl looked injured and there was blood all over the concrete. The Nick Jr. Productions logo came up, and it was actually normal. That is until Nick decided to choke Jr. and throw him into the puddle, dabbing himself afterwards. The logos concluded the episode and I had to eject the DVD, put it back in its case and sentenced it to the trash can. I can never watch Wonder Pets while eating McDonald's ever again. The end. August 18, 2001, an ending of Little Bear with the Nick Jr. logo went way too far after a report of someone who watched it ended up dying on the spot. The rumor turned out to be a hoax, or so I thought. I'm what you call a logo designer. I design logos for companies in need of a logo. My credits are Gravitas Ventures, Uncorked Entertainment, Cinemapocalypse, IFC Midnight, Breaking Glass Pictures and most recently the Shudder logo. I had a pretty decent lineup in my belt, felt pretty glad for myself, that is, until 2004 hit. It all started in the middle of winter. I was finishing on my project for college when a knock was heard at my door. I approached and opened the door. It was Dean and my 3D modeling professor, Professor Glasdasif. They came to tell me that someone had dropped a VHS tape and asked if it belonged to anyone. I looked around and said no, but I also asked if I could take a look. The two nodded as they handed over the tape. I plugged in a VCR I packed in my closet, plugged into a CRT TV and turned it on, got it working. I was about to insert the tape in, when I saw a note poking out of the VCR's tray. I pulled it out and read it. It said, "Don't view what you'll see. You'll soon regret it." Ominous. I inserted the tape in and that's when the tape started, without any warning. It started with the normal average end credits to Little Bear, nothing much to see, so I fast forwarded them a bit and then stopped at the logo. I noticed something off. Nick in the Nick Jr. logo was mirrored, so the logo was now Xin and the perspective made it look like Nick was staring at Jr. Backwards music slowly started playing after Little Bears stopped. At the 26 mark, Nick spoke. He said, "What is stronger?" Suddenly, Nick started growing more unnatural as more text was shown than the hum and heart. When I decoded the words, my eyes widened. Nick grew more bigger and another piece of text was shown, which shatters over and over. Suddenly, the sky turned black as the last piece of text was shown before cutting to black, and still LFS. The screen slowly faded to an ominous standing figure of Nick and a scared-looking Junior looking in. I let out a scream as it suddenly showed Nick's face at Junior. It was red and twisted with static as the only phrase shown was me. I even saw Junior's face turn into a black void and scream before it snapped to black. I didn't even care to know what happened next. I took out the tape. Then, I immediately shut off the VCR and threw the tape out the window. Whose idea was it to send someone a VHS tape? Who made this? Who did it? Weeks later, I received news that one of the students went missing after seeing the tape themselves. I was at a loss on what to do. I tried contacting Nick Jr. but they hadn't responded to me in months and they wouldn't especially like having angry visitors over. So I asked my 3D modeling professor, Professor Glasdusif. I went to his classroom with the tape in my hands and asked him to view the tape himself and explain to me what was going on. He glanced over and inserted the tape into his own VCR player and played it. After a minute of watching it, Glasdusif pulled me to the side and explained something surprising. He was a retired broadcaster for Nick Jr. himself. Wow, I didn't know he was a broadcaster himself. He explained something surprising though. The one responsible for airing the tape was my roommate himself. Accordingly, he felt like Nick Jr. wasn't edgy for his taste, so he tried to make an edgy bumper for the company. They rejected it because it was too dark for kids. To this day, only a YouTube video uploaded by Seismo is the only known source of the bumper. It's called Nick Jr. Anomaly, 2001, found footage. On the 19th of August 2001, a day after the first hijacking happened, the Nick Jr. channel was again hijacked during an ending of the show Little Bear, as the Nick Jr. logo again went too far after a report of someone who watched it ended up dying on the spot. The rumor turned out to be a hoax, or so I thought. I'm what you call a worker at Microsoft. I had been hired recently to work for patches to fix anomalous operating systems, making sure that operating systems don't develop strange bugs at all. It started in early November. I do remember reading the story of the first part. I was walking around at a park in rural Texas. It was walking alone for so long, I didn't feel like I was going to find something on the floor. While I was walking on the yellow grass, I found something on the grass. It was a DVD that dated from 2001. I had to ask myself whether I should take a look at the tape or not. When I returned home, I brought the disc with me. I decided to turn on my old Windows Vista PC. As I was inserting the DVD in, my computer displayed an exclamation message that read, "Do not view what you will see. You will soon regret it for yourself." Ominous enough, I closed the message, and the video player opened up as the video was going to play. It started with the normal average end credits to Little Bear. Nothing much to see here, so I fast forwarded them a bit and then stopped at the Lavender logo. Though it started glitching to a pitch black screen, this was when the anomalous part of the video began. When the visuals returned, the Lavender logo was continuing to play, until it cuts to the Nick Jr. logo showing Nick and Jr. playing catch. But with air, the screen then started glitching as the audio stopped. Then, Nick and Jr. then stood still without doing anything. Nick's word mark was now Xin, and that the perspective made it look like Nick was staring at Jr. This reminded me of the anomalous movie scenes I encountered in the Disney OS. Scary music then started playing in the background, as at the 26 mark, Nick opened his mouth as he started speaking to Jr. He said, "Tell me." The screen glitches again as more text was shown. He said, "What is stronger?" Again, more text was being shown as Nick spoke. His voice was a cacophony of digital noise that somehow coalesced into a semblance of speech, he said, than the human heart. His voice sounded as if it were emanating from a realm far beyond the screen. The words started to echo in my mind as I saw some letters in the text being bold. My eyes widened while looking at the bold letters to the point where I could see the word "eat" being written there. The screen glitches again, until I saw Nick beginning to grow in an unnatural manner as his arms started to get rapidly longer. After that, he said, which shatters over and over. Nick continued to grow more unnaturally as another piece of text was shown. This time he said, "and still lives without reason." While the text was being shown, I had seen the bold letters in the 3 messages that Nick said to Jr. The letters echoed in my mind, and then I soon realized that when these letters were put together, said bold letters would make a sentence that would read "eat or die." The screen then suddenly cuts to white. Before then, what faded was a distraught picture of Jr. looking at an ominous standing figure of Nick, now resembling Kirkhood with long claws, a H-shaped head and a large eye with orange sclera. Junior began to scream loudly as the distorted Nick figure said, "Who is the figure on the screen?" Then Nick started to glitch significantly for a little bit as he then said, "The end of all things." Then the entire screen suddenly turns pitch black as the Nick figure began to look even more distorted, with his eye now bearing completely black sclera and a small white glowing pupil. Nick started to make a sinister grin as he said to Junior, "The sound of decaying flesh." After that, the figure continued glitching that the last piece of text was shown. The figure then said, "And your doom." The entire screen abruptly glitches to pitch black, and then, an image of the now scared Junior began to fade into existence. Then afterwards, the figure then began to fade into existence as he appears to be behind Junior. He looks directly at him, and then he said, "Me." The said figure then began to open his mouth, and the glitching sound of his laugh was heard. Junior then began screaming as the figure continued to get closer to him. Junior's mouth then started to open wide as if his face looked as if he had a black void in his face. The Nick figure continued to get closer at Junior until the entire screen continued to glitch heavily. Before then, the scene snapped to black. I didn't even care to know what happened next. I took out the disc, and then I turned off the computer. Then I threw the disc out into the ground. Whose idea was it to leave behind a DVD disc like this? Who made this? Who did it? Weeks later, I received news that one of the students went missing after seeing the disc themselves. I was at a loss on what to do. I tried contacting Nick Jr., but they hadn't responded to me in months, and they wouldn't especially like having angry visitors over. So then, I tried to contact Nickelodeon about this, and this is what they said to me. "We were very sorry about this experience you had. The DVD was made by a now imprisoned teenage employee named Ivan Glasdusov, a relative of 3D modeling designer Dr. Glasdusov, who hijacked the Nick Jr. channel twice to air two anomalous logos of the company he made, as he felt like Nick Jr. wasn't edgy for his taste. And so we had rejected the logo previously as it was way too dark for kids. To the point where we got complaints from angry parents who said that their children were traumatized by this anomalous logo bumper, and we know it was him all along. So we had to fire him for good. He has been imprisoned since then. We are very sorry for the inconvenience." To this day, only a YouTube video uploaded by Seismo, MK700, is the only known source of the footage. It is called Nick Jr. Anomaly, 2001, found footage. V2 on the 20th of August 2001. After the first two hijackings, the Nick Jr. channel was hijacked again for the third time, once again happening during an ending of the show Little Bear, as the Nick Jr. logo again went too far for the third time. The hijacking occurred exactly 3 years after the death of a person named Jenica Wakeman. Meanwhile, back to me though, the DVD disc I had last part gave me nightmares. Even worse than those I got in those anomalous operating systems I used. I still didn't want to find any more lost DVD piece buried in the ground, but I was wrong. Let me tell you what happened. I was going to a small town in Texas with my dad, because my mom had to take both of us because she wanted to visit somewhere. Until then, I was walking all over the place. Until then, when again, I found another disc on the floor outside of a door from behind a store, and so I went to the store and I bought the disc for myself to check it. When I came back home, I investigated the disc. I saw that there was text written in the disc, reading, "Do not view what you will see in this disc. You will soon regret it for yourself." Ignoring the warning, I decided to insert the disc on the old Windows Vista computer, and the video player started to play. It started with a part of an episode of Little Bear playing. I mean, the part one was watching was from some episode that I forgot its name. This part is very boring, nothing to see here. So I fast forwarded it to the end credits. However, while the end credits were playing, something strange was happening. To my very own astonishment and alarm, the credits suddenly glitches out to a black screen, and when they returned back, the video itself started to get much darker and scary music began to play in the background. Chills were being sent down my spine as the impossible then happened. The Nirvana logo was then playing, but once it finishes, the screen abruptly cuts to the Nick Jr. logo, and it was very shocking to see. was I saw there was an empty white background, and then, I saw the dead body of Junior, with his mouth wide open. There was blood being spilled down from Junior's torso. As the video continued, the screen abruptly glitches again to show an image of a missing person poster of the long-dead Jenica Wakeman, lasting for about 15 to 20 seconds. Until then, the screen glitches again to show a picture of Jenica's dead remains, being pixelated, reminding me of the bodies of the dead children I saw in the Squidward's suicide tape. After that, white text appeared at the bottom. It read she broke the rules, so I broke her limbs, lasting for about 5 to 10 seconds. Until then, another piece of text was shown and it read the little sunspot didn't listen either. The text was white, except for the little sunspot part, where those 3 words were shown to be blue instead of white. Until then, after about 5 seconds, the screen abruptly cuts to an ominous standing figure of Nick. His mouth was open, and his word mark was again shown as XIN. And just like Scud from Toy Story and the racers from Wreck-It Ralph looking at me directly in the eyes on my past experience while using the Disney OS, Nick was sinisterly staring directly at me in the eyes as if his gaze were piercing from beyond the screen. Later after that, the screen then abruptly showed Nick holding the head of the deceased Junior. Nick's legs were also being shown after being partially darkened. Nick then started to say something to me, as stated in a piece of red-colored text shown to the left of him. He said to me in a cacophonous manner, "It only gets worse from here." After saying that, the text disappears, and he continued to look directly into me. Until then, the impossible happened. Nick then started to rapidly zoom his head towards the screen, where his face now becomes Kirk Hod's face, bearing that hay-shaped head with black eyes and a sinister grin. The entire screen then abruptly cuts to pitch black, and then, the entire screen froze. After that, an error message appeared right in front of me, just like those anomalous movie files I encountered in the Disney OS. Before then, the video player closed itself. I decided to eject the disc and threw it onto the wall several times. I was questioning in my head, whose idea was it to send me this kind of disc like this? Who did it? And so I decided to take the disc and then I drove to the Nickelodeon headquarters and I then reported it to them. As I was giving the disc to them, one employee from Nickelodeon then told me this disc was made by Ivan the Terrible television hijacker who would often hijack the Nick Jr. channel to show disturbing variants of the Nick Jr. logo that traumatized many kids. And so then, I've been having nightmares recently about the experience I had with that other disc I brought. To this day, the only known source of the footage is from a video uploaded by Seismo, MK700. It is called Another Nick Jr. Anomaly, 2001, found footage. One of the most notorious mainstream creepypasta villains, Eyeless Jack, is a humanoid entity who removes the organs of his victims and eats them. The character's moniker comes from the fact that he appears in a hoodie, wearing a blue mask open at the eye sockets, which though they are leaking a black fluid, are entirely empty. In later fan-made variants on the original story, Eyeless Jack is commonly found standing at the foot of the bed or leaning over his sleeping victim. Appearance and origins: in most depictions, Eyeless Jack wears a blue mask and hoodie. There are 2 cavernous black holes where the eyes should be, whilst the rest of the facial features are either missing entirely or only suggested in shape. The image most commonly associated with the character is a photograph taken from below as if looking up at a blank-faced figure with only 2 gaping holes where his eyes should be. This photograph, which predates production of the actual story of Eyeless Jack, was created on November 19, 2009 by 2 DeviantArt users Nick TZ408 and Pirate Cashew. The image was then posted by a user calling himself Arnon on the 4chan. Amongst a collection of creepy images and craysatures taken from video games that he claimed to have found on 4chan/the/. The collection was labeled as a nightmare fuel and significantly featured the DeviantArt image of the as yet nameless character. The image was posted on June 7, 2010 and would not be attached to a story until February 2012. Like many creepypasta characters, there was an ekphrastic element to Eyeless Jack's creation, meaning that the actual story of Eyeless Jack came after all was inspired by the image. That story was eventually posted to creepypasta by a user named DaysElf5000 on February 25, 2012 and was presented as a first-person account of an encounter with Eyeless Jack, detailing how he had stolen and at least partially eaten human organs. The story gained in popularity, helped by the reading on YouTube by CreepyPasta in March of 2012. Interestingly, the original creepypasta was removed by its creator in the wake of the original Jeff the Killer story being removed, with its author expressing a desire to remove it himself before the admins of the site could. Excerpt from a local newspaper: ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. "I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night," says the boy. "I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up, and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light, illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, 'Go to sleep.' I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing, I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes, and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara, I live across the street from you." "Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and to introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object, when their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling when suddenly, he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there, eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Liu finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, it looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Liu looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have, and he's dry. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "I'm Randy." Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there is a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. Liu stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. TSK, TSK, TSK. I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Liu and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now, it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Liu gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. "Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else." Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh, and what will you do?" Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. You could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. "Jeff, how'd you?" That was all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Liu made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Liu just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was, the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away, and stay away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and how now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, it was a wonderful day. Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find two police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and that they were stabbed." "Stabbed, son?" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Liu." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene." Now, what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Liu had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because truth be told they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Liu. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. You tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner and they both nod. "Well kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait. says Liu. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Liu. It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it. He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. Son, just put the knife down, said the officer. Liu held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Liu. It was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Liu out to the patrol car. Liu, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Liu. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Liu inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Liu when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by, with no word from Liu at JDC. No friends to hang out with. Nothing but sadness and guilt. That is until Saturday, when Jeff is woke up by his mother, with a happy, sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into his room. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. He was now fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after? There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now, get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up, his mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why they would ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party. Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around in his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it though. He looked around, and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of which go with dress pants. Finally he found a white hoodie and put it on. You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's just go, she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door and at it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are out in the yard. Jeff, how about you go and meet some of them? Said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. Hey, wanna play? He said. Ah, no kid, I'm way too old for this stuff. The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face. Please? Said the kid. Fine, said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Liu. So he played with the kids for a while, until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. Hello, Jeff, is it? he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother sent to JDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh no. I don't go for even, I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today." As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and head-butted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts or guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff, until he starts to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me." He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. "Fight." He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff, look at me." Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. "I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year. You should be ashamed." Jeff starts to get up. "Oh, finally. You stand and fight." Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. "Finally, he's up," says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed, all rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him to the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him. Punch after punch, blood gushes from Randy's body, until he takes one final breath, and dies. Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith, although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard and now all that's left is Keith. He is more agile than Troy though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he said, "is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall, and fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff woke, he had a cast trapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder, and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm, and when he tried to get up it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him back in his bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there, with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer though, his face was covered, and he was unable to speak. "Oh honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let you go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be able to be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Liu and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. What happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of the distress. His face. It's horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand to his face. It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. "Jeff," said Liu, "it's not that bad." "Not that bad?" said Jeff. "It's perfect." His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "Okay, I've never felt more happy. Ha 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 ha. Look at me. This face goes perfectly with me." He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, his sanity, snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. "Doctor," said Jeff's mom, "is my son all right, you know, in the head?" "Oh yes. This behavior is typical for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here, and we'll give him a psychological test." "Oh thank you doctor." Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. "Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go." Jeff looks away from the mirror. His face still formed into a crazy smile. "K mommy, ha ha ha." His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. "This is what came in," said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress, pants and white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and now stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. "I couldn't keep smiling, mommy. It hurt after a while. Now, I can smile forever." Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed in black. "Jeff, your eyes." His eyes were seemingly never closing. "I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burned out the eyelids so I could forever see myself, my new face." Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son was going insane. "What's wrong, mommy? Aren't I beautiful?" "Yes, son," she said. "Yes, you are. Let me go get daddy, so he can see your face." She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. "Honey, get the gun, She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway, holding a knife. "Mommy, you lied." That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes them with the knife, gutting both of them. His brother Liu woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up, Before Jeff's hand covered his mouth, he slowly raised the knife ready to plunge it into Liu. Liu thrashed here and there trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shhhhhhhh. Jeff said, "Just go to sleep." The DVD started with the Nickelodeon DVD intro from 2010, but it was actually played normally. A few moments later, "Oh no," Tuck gasped. "IT says IT's about to end in 5 minutes." "What?" Linny questioned. "Uh-oh, a broken bar," Ming Ming muttered. "Now what are we gonna do?" Linny actually answered, "We can stop this." "Are we sure?" Tuck answered. "Yes," Linny answered. "We can try a broken bar," Ming Ming muttered. Soon they arrived to the shelter. The Wonder Pets get on the flyboat. Then the scene showed the flyboat was soaring through the sky. Music was playing in the background called Perfect Dark Gala from Sonic Unleashed. "Come on Linny, FLY faster, FLY faster, so we can stop the meteor. Quickly, quick, FLY faster now, quickly, quick, we don't wanna die." Ming Ming panicked loudly. "Ming Ming, shut up. We're almost there to destroy the meteor. Now stop panicking. We need to save the Earth. Now calm down and be a man," Linny angrily told Ming Ming. "Okay then, if you say so." Ming Ming sighed. Soon, they headed for meteor. "Say goodbye meteor," Linny boomed angrily. Then the announcer spoke in the intercom. "Attention, N62 meteor is about to hit the Earth in 10 seconds. The countdown begins now. We're gonna send you nowhere." The team boomed. The 10 seconds countdown began, but in every second, there were shots, scenes that transitioned. The countdown voice was from the announcer. The transitions were 10, a stick figure running from a street. 9, 2 cars on fire after they crashed. 8, the 3 stick figures hiding under a table in a basement. 7, the traffic. 6, the Easmock from Canada. 5, the helicopter on fire after it crashed to the Earth protection sign. 4, Ollie and his parents continue driving. 3, a car falling through the sky. 2, a stick figure riding at the top of a van. 1, the school where the Wonder Pets live. 0, the meteor about to hit the ground, as the Malaysia Ease alarm played in the background. But fortunately, the flyboat smashed through the meteor, destroyed, sent to different place in liminal space, and thus, no one was hurt. Everyone was saved. They cheered in excitement. Then the announcer spoke in the intercom. "Great news. N62 meteor is destroyed. We're saved." However, the black scene went on for a few seconds, until a bright figure of the Wonder Pets faded in. There was a 59-year-old boy speaking in the background. "Wake up, Wonder Pets." The boy voice spoke. Who is it?" Linny asked tiredly, off screen. "It's me, Josh Selig." The boy voice spoke. Josh Selig." Tuck questioned tiredly, off screen. "I got to ask you 3, is the Earth saved?" The boy voice asked. What? Tuck questioned tiredly, off screen. "If yes, it is. If no, it's not. So pick a choice." The boy voice spoke. Then the bright figure faded out slowly. It then faded into the Wonder Pets waking up from their blackout, and everyone got out of the shelter and looked around. "Guys, did it?" Ming Ming gasped. "Of course it is," Linny agreed. It then cut to the flyboat was soaring through the sky through a city looking okay. "We did it," Tuck boomed. "The Earth is saved. Thank God," Ollie stated. "Yay." The Wonder Pets cheered. "Wonder Pets. Wonder Pets. Wonder Pets. We found a way to help our home planet and save the day." ATM superscript A. Ming Ming, we're not too big, Tuck, and we're not too tough. Wonder Pets. But when we work together, we've got the right stuff. Goo Wonder Pets. Yay. After that, it showed the schoolhouse okay as the music was playing in the background called Last Goodbye from Underswap. The flyboat was soaring to their schoolhouse. "Another job well done," Ming Ming spoke. "You said it, Ming Ming. We saved the Earth and now everybody's happy. Now this call for some celery." Linny replied. "Celery, here I come," Linny called. As Linny was going to get celery in the mini fridge, the scene cut to the school outside peacefully due to the Wonder Pets destroying the Earth. It soon fades to back. The credits, from season 3, then rolled normally, but the music was replaced with Last Goodbye from Underswap. After the credits it then showed the Little Airplane Productions 2008. Nick Jr. Productions 2005 Nickelodeon Productions 2009 logos normally. It then cut to black for 5 seconds. Then it scene cut to an aqua background with a text on the top saying stay tuned for more adventures with the Wonder Pets. And there was the Wonder Pets on the bottom dancing. And the music is called Boys and Girls by Gilbert Sigrist, which is the Mighty B credits theme, for about 20 seconds. After that, it then cut back to the main menu. I was so proud of myself. Sometimes, some lost episodes ended happily ever after with very lovely good endings. The end. I always have watched Cole the Sparta remixer. He makes great remixes. I check his channel every day, but today was weird. I went on his channel and it had his name backwards. His videos were gone except for one, called him.mp4. I think he was just becoming weird. The description says, he is always there, and he didn't link his other socials in there. I was worried, is he faking it? I watched the video, and Cole showed up on the screen. Cole had very bright white eyes. A chill went down my spine. Pictures flashed, with his creepy white eyes, and his scream from "Oh no not again" is playing. It kept going on, and there was static all over my computer screen. It showed Cole's face close up while the Casino Night theme was playing in reverse. While the video was playing, I heard a scream. It was my brother. He was dead. There was a note attached to his corpse saying, "He is always the Cole Burchett." I went back to my room and the video was still playing. I heard the doorbell. I broke my door and went to see what was outside. It was a box that says, "You're next." I opened it, and it was a Cole plush from Makeship. I ran back to my room and the music in the video got louder. I put the plush on the PC screen hoping to keep Cole away. I went on Discord to call my friend. I asked him to check the channel and he said it was the same as normal, and he hunged up. I called CTSR, I told him about it. He hung up sending a message saying, "Dude, this never happened, my channel was just fine, no to do anything, and besides, sorry for any trouble, my apologies." Then while the video was still playing, a jump scare happened. It showed Cole with that demonic face. The sound that was being played was the jump scare from Slendy Bob. Then my computer shut off on its own. It would not turn back on for 25 seconds. Then I turned it back on and checked Cole's channel, and everything was back to normal. I was relieved. I hope stuff can keep me safe. Well, at least for now. In 2020, Nickelodeon released the SpongeBob musical on DVD. I really liked the musical after it aired on Nickelodeon in 2019. I bought the DVD on Amazon. A few days later, I received something in the mail. To my surprise, it was the DVD, but the front looked weird. I saw a red text that said "Bad Ending" in Comic Sans. Wait, a bad ending? Did I buy the wrong copy? I looked at the back of the DVD, and it still had the "Bad Ending" text at the top. I went upstairs and I put the disc in. Then the Nickelodeon logo came up, but it looked different. The background was black, the text was red and in reverse, and it played the No Edlex in jingle. Oh god, I said, this isn't going to be good. It then cut to the menu. The image of SpongeBob on the stage looked normal, but of course that red text in Comic Sans that said "Bad Ending" was there. I clicked play event, but before it started, there was a warning. Warning, the following musical you are about to watch contains graphic and violent scenes that should not be viewed by children. Viewer discretion is advised. Uh-oh, I said, I ain't gonna like this. It cut to Bikini Atoll. And it showed the Nickelodeon logo, and Mother of God, it looked so creepy. Bikini Atoll looked screwed up a lot. The tree branches looked destroyed, the sky was bloodshot red, and the Nickelodeon logo was also different. The text was red, and the text was in reverse. The camera pans below the water, where the Reef Cinema is showing a film called The SpongeBob Musical. The theater, a magical place for all to enjoy, so long as we follow a few simple rules. The French narrator says, it then shows Squidward humming and walk to an open seat. The music in the background was Unseen Horrors by Kevin MacLeod. I start to shiver when I heard the music. Oh, hi, Squidward. SpongeBob says, Squidward starts to get angry. In case of emergency, always take a moment to locate your nearest exit. French narrator explains, it then shows Patrick slamming an exit door. Please do not disrupt the show for others. This means no gum chewing. French narrator explains, it then shows Patrick loudly chewing gum and blows a bubble at Squidward's face. No bouncing. French narrator says, then it shows SpongeBob and Patrick bouncing up and down to piss off Squidward. No armrest hogging. French narrator says, Patrick hogs the armrest, intruding on Squidward's space. No jellyfishing. French narrator says, a jellyfish swims by. SpongeBob catches it and Squidward in his jellyfishing net. It zaps Squidward, and he screams. Whoops, sorry. SpongeBob says, no happening. French narrator yet again explains. It then shows Patrick slapping his knee and chest. No gargling. French narrator says. It then shows SpongeBob loudly gargling in front of Squidward. No play fighting. French narrator explains. It shows SpongeBob and Patrick play fighting each other. Sit down and stop ruining my night off, Squidward says, and of course, no talking. French narrator explains. Enjoyed the musical, Patrick. SpongeBob says, SHH. No talking, says Patrick. It then cuts to the SpongeBob musical, Live on Stage logo, and that goddamn red text that reads bad ending in Comic Sans is also included. Act 1, Chapter 1. It now shows the three houses: Patrick, Squidward, SpongeBob's house. Bonjour, salut, and welcome to this quiet corner of the ocean floor, teeming with all the many kinds of undersea life. It is here we find the submarine habitat known as a broken bar. Ensemble members lift up platform showing Patrick's rock, Squidward's Easter Island house, and SpongeBob's pineapple, Bikini Bottom. Let us observe now as the sun rises on a new nautical day. Here, we see an ordinary cluster of kelp. Ensemble member points at kelp, and here broken bar. Ensemble member runs toward coral and points at it, a common clumping of coral. And here broken bar. Ensemble member runs toward SpongeBob's pineapple and points at it, a pineapple. This fruit is home to one of the most fascinating sea creatures of all. Aplycina fistula is a yellow sponge. The French narrator explains. Then SpongeBob's horn wakes him up. Good morning, world, and all who inhabit it. SpongeBob says, now we get to the first song, which is Bikini Bottom Day, Reprise 1. The song plays out normally, until we get to Sandy's part. A violent tremor suddenly rocks the entire town. The rumbling noise actually caused an earthquake while I was watching. The song then continues normally, until we get to Plankton's part, where he holds a plankton blush, and holding a card that reads, too easy. Then it shows a video with the plankton plush holding the card. Plankton's laugh sounded a lot more demonic than the original. I then start to jump a bit when that happens. Then the song continues normally once again, until the rumbling scene happened again, where this time, the earthquake gets more aggressive than last time. Oh my god, I yelled. Then the song continues normally once again. A news report reveals that the tremor was caused by Mount Humongous, a nearby submarine volcano that will soon erupt. No control. Instead of saying, the end is coming, they say, the end is near. The song does play out normally. You're gonna hear me say that a lot, until we get to the end of No Control. The screams at the end of the song sounds a lot more realistic, more than cartoony. The clock had a text that reads, the end. The text had a bludgeoned demonic version added on it. Everyone stops screaming except for Patrick. SpongeBob tries to stop Patrick from screaming. However, something way more different happens here. Patrick runs to avoid SpongeBob. Patrick screams even louder, while the audience starts to laugh in the background. I laugh alone with them. The screaming goes on for about a couple of seconds. Then SpongeBob slaps the absolute shit out of Patrick. Patrick does start to bleed a bit. I then gasp and cover my mouth in horror after seeing that. You have to pull yourself together, SpongeBob says, takes cork out of Patrick's mouth and throws it away. Breathe in and out. Eyes here. Eyes, SpongeBob says to Patrick. But you don't understand. I'm stuck inside and I can't watch any of my shows, because there's nothing on TV but these a broken bar, Patrick explains. Then he turns the TV on with the remote control. The end is near. The end is. SpongeBob then turns off the TV. I get it, buddy. I get stressed out too sometimes. Like when Mr. Krabs says I'm not manager material. SpongeBob says, manager material? You mean like polyester? Patrick says. Then the audience starts to laugh in the background. Then the next song plays, which is BFF. The song plays out completely normal. Will SpongeBob and Bikini Bottom survive? Can the power of BFF save the day? Find out when SpongeBob the Musical Live on Stage continues. French narrator says, I then pause the DVD and go downstairs to get a snack. Then I go back upstairs. But as soon I was about to unpause the DVD, there was a red text that says, the end is near. Run for your lives. For a split second, wait? What was that? I said. Then I unpause the DVD and continue watching. Ladies and gentlefish, we only have until sundown tomorrow, but I will lead us through this crisis by setting meetings to encourage dialogue about drafting proposals for eventual action. The mayor explains, so broken bar we're doomed. Squidward says, I'm scared. We need someone to save us. The sardines said in horror. As the dialogue goes on, we get to the next song, which is, The Going Gets Tough. The song does play normally, but something is off. The high and screechy voices in the song sound a lot distorted and louder. I then start to cover my ears after hearing that. After that, we then move on to another song called, Just a Simple Sponge. The sponges in the background look different. The sponges in the background of the song were red. Huh? That's different, I said. Can the town be saved by a simple sponge? Find out right after the break. French narrator says, then I pause the DVD and go downstairs to get some water. I was getting thirsty after watching the musical for a couple of minutes. Then I unpaused the DVD and continue watching. Hey, Mr. Krabs, we're not going to have to leave Bikini Bottom after all. I'm putting together a team to save the town, SpongeBob explains. Good luck with that. We're packing. Mr. Krabs says, I can't decide which one to wear for the electric skates. Pearl says, for the last time, get it through your blowhole. You are not meeting those stingray degenerates, Mr. Krabs explains. But Dada Broken Bar Pearl says, you've got your priorities all wrong. We're in a crisis here, and when you're in a crisis, there's only one thing you can depend on, Mr. Krabs explained. You mean family? Pearl says. Number. Mr. Krabs says. Community? SpongeBob exclaimed. You're kidding, right? Mr. Krabs says. Now we move on to the song Daddy Knows Best. It does play out normally, until we get to this scene, where Mr. Krabs says, I'm sorry, Pearl. Were you trying to say something? Then we see Pearl crying in this scene. However, something was off. Instead of crying tears, Pearl was crying blood. I start to freak out a bit. The song continues normally. Breaking news. A giant boulder is rolling down from Mount Humongous, and it's headed this way. Perch Perkins exclaimed. Then everyone starts to scream, but it sounds realistic than the original. Don't worry, I've got it, SpongeBob says. No, it's gonna be SpongeBob's sentence was interrupted by Patrick. I'm right here, hello. Patrick says. While the dialogue goes on, we move on to the next song called Hero Is My Middle Name. The song plays normally. I was relived. After that, the next song that plays is Super C Star Savior. Like I said before, it plays normally. After that song, we get to another song called Tomorrow Isn't. Like I said like 100 times in this story, the song plays normally. Act 2 Chapter 2, then we hear Patchy the pirate impersonating an old lady. Programs. Get your programs. Help an old lady through college by buying a program. There you go, dearie, it's free for you. Programs. Can't tell the characters without a program. Haha. E-stage, and goes back to his haha. I made it in. Ha. Yes. Haha. They can't keep me out. I'm Patchy the pirate, SpongeBob's #1 fan. The audience starts to cheer in the background, you know. After they wouldn't let me in because I'm a pirate, I wandered the streets, until I happened upon a pirate dive bar, and it was there, talking to me fellow buccaneers, that gave me the courage to come back here with a message, on behalf of all victims of pirate prejudice. In fact, I wrote a protest song. Haha. Patchy explains. Then we get to the song Poor Pirates. The song plays out normally. After the song, SpongeBob wakes up from a nightmare. Oh, Gary, I had a terrible nightmare, a broken bar. I dreamed the end was coming at sundown today, and Patrick abandoned me. Neither of which could ever actually happen, of course. Are you sure about that? I said, good morning, Bikini Bottom. Our top story, the end is coming at sundown today, and friends are abandoning friends. Perch Perkins explains, so it wasn't a dream, SpongeBob says. Then SpongeBob starts to scream, no. This goes on for a couple of seconds. 10 minutes later, a broken bar, French narrator says, with SpongeBob still going, he is now in a different position. 1 hour later, a broken bar, French narrator says, now with SpongeBob lying down on the ground. 50 years later, a broken bar, French narrator says, however, something way more different happens than the actual play. It shows SpongeBob with white hair, glasses, and a long white beard, making him look like an old man. Oh, this comes right off, SpongeBob says. He then throws the fake beard to the musical conductor. After all the dialogue, the next song that plays is Bikini Bottom Boogie. I'm sure you're going to think of what I'm going to say. Yes, it plays normally. Let us now journey to Mount Humongous, towering above Bikini Bottom in all its great and fearsome majesty, French narrator explains. After all that, we then move on to another song called I'm Not a Loser. The song does play out normally, until we get to the end, where Squidward is alone. Then very depressing music starts to play while Squidward walk off the stage, along with the audience laughing in the background. I laughed along with them. Meanwhile, high on the treacherous slope of Mount Humongous, SpongeBob and Sandy are the only hope for Bikini Bottom. Will they reach the top before Plankton and Karen can stop them? So tell us. It is a race against time, French narrator explains. It's a race against time, SpongeBob. Remember what I told ya? Don't stop till you drop, Sandy explains. Yeah, let's definitely not drop, SpongeBob says. We got this. Eyes on the prize, Sandy says. Is it just me or is it getting kinda toasty up here? SpongeBob says, I'm sweating like a snowman in a steam room. We're almost at the top, come on, Sandy exclaimed. SpongeBob and Sandy continue their ascent and the camera pans over to the audience where Plankton and Karen are located, with their Avalanche Maker 3000. Let's do this. Big guy, ready a broken bar, aim a broken bar, fire. Plankton, Karen say, Sandy. Do you hear that? SpongeBob says, it's an avalanche, Sandy says. SpongeBob and Sandy get trapped in an avalanche, and boulders roll down and around them. The avalanche stops, but SpongeBob loses balance and begins to slip. I'm slipping, SpongeBob says. I've got ya, Sandy says. I think this is goodbye. Sandy, a broken bar. These are my last words, a broken bar, SpongeBob says. No, SpongeBob, please, Sandy says. Look over there, SpongeBob exclaimed. Those are your last words, Sandy says. No, it's Patrick, and he has your jetpack, SpongeBob says. I'll save you, Patrick says in slow-mo. But something way more different happens here. The slow-mo scene goes on for a minute straight. Wait, what's happening? I said. A couple of scenes later, we get to best day ever. It does go on normally, until we get to the countdown. 5, 4, 3, to broken bar. There was no one. It does go silent for a couple of seconds. It didn't erupt a question mark. Plankton says, well, I guess there is no bad ending after all. I said, little did I know that I was wrong. The volcano actually erupts. What the hell? This is not supposed to happen. I said in horror. Every character starts screaming in horror. The lava starts to burn all of the characters to death. The audience starts to scream in the background in horror. Then all of the characters died after the eruption. It shows their skulls. The audience screams even more and leaves the room. After they died, the credits rolled. The music that was playing in the background was At Rest by Kevin MacLeod. I had to sit and think about what I have just watched. No wonder why it's called Bad Ending. Such a disturbing musical. Just then, Patchy the pirate out of nowhere runs up on the stage. No, SpongeBob, WHYDID, I have to lose you. My biggest fan was involved in the eruption. Goodbye, SpongeBob. Patchy then starts crying and leaves the room. I also start to cry by looking at their skulls. After credits, the Nickelodeon Productions 2019 logo plays. The background was black, and the text was reddened in reverse, and it was playing the No Edelection jingle. I went to get the remote, but before I could, a jump scare happened. It was an edited picture of SpongeBob from the episode Wormy, where he sees that Mr. Krabs and Squidward got eaten by Wormy. Holy crap, I yelled, and there were a lot of loud noises in the background. The Howie scream, the scream from Suicide Mouse. Of it, Sunny Funny, Katy Cat, Paula Fox's scream from the Pa-Rapper the Rapper anime episode, Did You Say You Didn't Sleep?, where they get sucked up inside of PJ Berry's nose, along with the roar from the B&D of Doom, the Void scream that is in every Lost episode, the Sonic.X scream, the FNAF 1 2 3 4 jump scare sound effects, the Kayfy scream, the Scary Maze scream, the scream from the video called Ghost Caught on Tape by SZ World, the Slendy Bob jump scare sound effect, the Deranged Woman scream. I had to cover my ears after hearing these sounds. After a couple of seconds, the jump scare ended. It then cut back to the menu. I was traumatized after what I saw. I then took the disc out, went outside, and burned the DVD to shreds and threw it away. I did have a few screenshots saved on my hard drive. That night I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares of the scene where all of the characters died in that eruption. I never watched any more SpongeBob related musicals after that. The end. Okay, I'm sure you all really know about how people have been encountering lost episodes of children's shows, such as Word Girl, Jack's Big Music Show, Pinky Dinky Doo, Higglytown Heroes, Super WHY. And most recently, Yo Gabba Gabba. There have been a few Yo Gabba Gabba lost episodes spreading around, such as Death, The Evil Gabbas, and Terminator. Well, I had an encounter with one of these episodes, and it was freaky. It all started on a normal Friday. I was walking home from school, until I passed by the local recycling bin, and I saw a box poking out of the bin. I immediately grabbed the box, and examined it. The box was orange and had the Yo Gabba Gabba logo in the middle, and the Nickelodeon Splat logo on the bottom right. I immediately took the box inside, went to the kitchen, grabbed a pair of scissors, and I cut open the box. Once I opened the box, I removed the bubble wrap from inside the box, and I grabbed out a Yo Gabba Gabba DVD. The DVD had a white background, with multicolored stars everywhere. The box had the Yo Gabba Gabba logo in the middle, and also the Wild Brain, Nickelodeon, Paramount, and DVD video logos. The DVD was called Yo Gabba Gabba, Time to Rock. I was interested by the DVD, so I went to the living room, opened the DVD, and put the disc into the DVD player as the DVD started. It began with the Nickelodeon Fish, Nick Jr. Frogs and Paramount logos, but the Nick Jr. Frogs logo was in there for unknown reason. The Nickelodeon Fish I didn't played, but it was way different. The fish was red, its text and eyes were black, and there was some sort of black ooze dripping from its eyes and mouth. and when it got close to the screen, it let out an agonizing screech before swimming off screen. Then, the Nick Jr. Frog's logo played, but it was very different. The Nick Frog looked like a beast. His eyes were black, he had red pupils, he was crying, and drooling blood, and he also had blood on its hands, feet, and on the Nick text. The Junior Frog looked absolutely terrified and afraid, and it croaked loudly when the Nick Frog croaked, as it sounded demonic, and let out an agonizing screech as the Junior Frog fell off his lily pad, ending the logo. And finally, the Paramount DVD logo appeared, but the sky was a crimson red, the disc was rusted and dripping blood, the mountain was dark purple and had pink crystals on it, and when the disc flew into the mountain, a faint scream was heard as the Kefka laugh played in the background. It then cut to some Nick Jr. promos with past shows. After those, it went to the menu, which featured the 6 characters dancing and having a good time as always. I pressed play all to watch all the episodes featured. It started at fun and went through the following order: dance, move, band, games, birthday. After those episodes, there was a warning. The warning was in a background of Gabbaland from the credits, with 2 buttons, continue on the left, and back to menu on the right, with orange text in the middle, saying, "Attention, we're putting the fun on hold to tell you that this episode is not suitable for younger audiences as it was originally made to promote Sonic the Hedgehog, but it tried to be rejected, but was launched away, as it contains mature content, gore, horror, graphic violence, mild language, and death. If you are sensitive, please return back to the menu, and choose a different episode, but if you are brave enough, feel free to continue, but always make sure to enjoy your Gabba Gabba, and stay awesome. Viewer discretion is advised." Interesting, but I think I can handle this, I said to myself, as I clicked continue, starting the episode. The intro then began to play, but it was during nighttime, and instead of the white background, it was a black background, with a blue tint, and lots of stars. Also DJ Lance was in his original outfit with dark orange. The outlines on his sleeves were white, his shoes were white from the pilot and season 1. The gang didn't really notice though, and continued through the intro. And then the logo appeared, but it was covered in blood, and Sonic.X was heard laughing in the background. After the intro ended, the title card appeared, but it was way different than the usual title cards. The title card was in Brubby Land, but it was very dark, blood was on the corners of the screen, and there was a shadow in the middle. However, the shadow looked very familiar, especially with the sharp quills. The background music playing was a slowed down version of the Sonic 1 drowning theme. The SMFS, Super Music Friends Show, called out the episode's title, which was Triple Trouble. Triple Trouble? I asked myself. I think this should be an interesting episode. As the title card faded out, the episode began. It did a YGG-style transition to Gabba Land, as DJ Lance Rock started the episode. "Hello friends," DJ Lance greeted. "Tonight is a very special night, because a special friend is coming to visit Gabba Land, and the gang is really excited. Hey, let's see how they're doing," DJ Lance reminded, as it panned down to the Gabbas. Muno, Fufa, Plex, Broby and 2D were putting posters all over Gabbaland reading "Someone's coming to visit Gabbaland tonight." All of them had a background of Green Hill. It had blue and white outlines. It also had the same shadow as the title card. "I can't believe it already. It's Sonic," I muttered. "Can you believe it, guys?" Plex spoke. "A visitor is coming." "I know, right?" Muno cheered. "I can't wait to see him. I wonder what he looks like." "Me too." Fufa also cheered. "Me 3. 2D agreed. "So am I." Brubby cheered as well. "Oh, a visitor is coming to Gabbaland?" DJ Lance asked in a surprised, yet excited tone. "This is gonna be awesome." The Gabbas all cheered together when DJ Lance said that. Just then, someone sped by the Gabba gang as the iconic spin dash was heard. Muno, Fufa, Plex, Broby and 2D were really shocked when they heard it. "What was that?" Broby asked. "Not sure," Plex answered. Suddenly, a blue flash passed by again, and this time it was more visible. Then it is again, Muno pointed out. Who or what could it be? Plex questioned. I don't know, Fufa agreed. I'll write a broken bar. Show yourself. 2D berated. Now, 2D, please don't yell out, you might scare them, and they might run away. Plex confronted. Oh, sorry guys. 2D apologized. It's okay 2D. Besides, the guest is coming right now. DJ Lance screamed with excitement. The Gabba gang got really excited, as the guest was about to arrive. Suddenly, out of the blue, literally, the guest arrived, and it was just who I predicted. Sonic the Hedgehog. He wasn't a guy in a mascot costume at all, however, he was fully animated. And when I mean fully, he looked like he was ripped right out of Sonic X. Sonic then let out a smirk at camera as he turned to look at the Gabbas. He then spoke, with his voice actor being Jason Griffith. Sorry for the long wait. Sonic apologized. The Gabba gang looked absolutely amazed when they saw Sonic. Whoa, you look awesome. But who are you? Muno asked in excitement. The name's Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog, the fastest thing alive. Sonic introduced himself. That's so cool. Are you really the fastest thing alive? Brubby asked in excitement. Watch this, Sonic told DJ Lance and the Gabbas, as he ran through Gabland at light speed. Everybody in Gabland was so impressed by his speed, even DJ Lance. Whoa, that's so awesome. Everyone gasped. I know, I get it all the time. Sonic chuckled. This new friend is awesome. DJ Lance screamed in excitement. Hey everyone, let's all introduce ourselves to Sonic by playing the name game. DJ Lance cheered. The Gabbas then cheered, but Sonic was left confused. What's this? Name game? Sonic asked. The name game is when we all take turns saying our name, and then the others have to say it back. DJ Lance answered. Okay cool, I'm in. Let's do it to it, Sonic exclaimed. Alright, Plex you start. DJ Lance cheered. Sonic and the Gabba gang then began to play and sing the name game from Greetings. After playing they all cheered as Sonic was very happy. Wow, that sure was fun. I'm enjoying this place already, Sonic exclaimed. The Gabbas then cheered as it then cut to a kid who liked to dance. My name is Harley. Harley introduced himself, who would later appear in the Banana Splits movie. I like to dance. Then there was a song called a cover of Weekend from Sonic Heroes, then Biz's Beat of the Day. The intro of Biz's Beat of the Day played, but it was extended like this. Hey kids, Biz greeted. Just gather around for Biz's Beat of the Day. I ought to teach you some sounds. Then it showed Biz smiling at the audience with his microphone. The title above him read Biz's Beat of the Day. Let's all do it together with Biz. DJ Lance cheered. I was confused and puzzled why the intro was extended, as it usually wasn't like that before. After that, it showed Biz with a Sonic-themed shirt in a blue and yellow background as he started the beatbox. Okay, Biz spoke. Here is Biz's Beat of the Day. Biz then beatboxed to the Sonic the Hedgehog intro theme. I know you got it, Biz reminded, making a reference to the pilot short story. Now I want you to do it again. After he said that, Biz started to beatbox the intro theme again. One more time. DJ Lance spoke. Afterwards, Biz finished the beatbox as it ended like it usually did in every segment. Now remember kids, practice that at home until I see you again, Biz reminded. Bye bye. Biz then appeared off screen, then there was a little game, then Plex learning something. The scene showed Plex pulling out a chalkboard sign as he put it up, before turning to the camera. Hey, I thought learning with Plex was in season 1. I thought it's time to learn with Plex. DJ Lance cheered. Plex turned to the camera. That's me. Plex introduced himself. Then it showed Plex as he beamed himself onto the chalkboard as he began. It's fun to play your Genesis. It's fun to play your Genesis. It's fun to play your Genesis. And this is how to do it. Plex sang. 1. The kids cheered. Turn on your TV. Turn on your TV. Plex told the viewers. 2. The kids cheered the second time. Plug in the Genesis. Plug in the Genesis. Plex continued. 3. The kids cheered the third time. Get out your controller, and plug it in as well. Get out your controller, and plug it in as well. Plex instructed. 4. The kids cheered the fourth time. Start up your Genesis, and now you're ready to play. Start up your Genesis, and now you're ready to play. Plex said, it's fun to play your Genesis. It's fun to play your Genesis. It's fun to play your Genesis. And that's how you do it, Plex exclaimed. Plex cheered after he finished. Then after Plex learned, it was time for the Super Music Friends show. Hey everyone, DJ Lance called out. The Super Music Friends show is on. What show? Sonic wondered. The Super Music Friends show. DJ Lance told Sonic, you know, the show where performers and bands perform songs for us. Oh, I get it. Sonic smirked. It is time for the Super Music Friends show. He then placed the Super Music Friends show in Bribby Land. The Gabbas ran into the shot excitedly as they cheered. Then the Swami arrived onto the television screen as he started to speak. Now, get ready to feel the possibilities with Jared Reddick's Endless Possibility. The Swami spoke. The Super Music Friends show began. The song that was playing was a cover of Endless Possibility from Sonic Unleashed. Then after the cover of the Endless Possibility song, the Gabbas cheered including Sonic. DJ Lance then picked up the Super Music Friends show in his hand. Listening and dancing to music is a broken bar awesome. DJ Lance screamed and yelled in excitement again. Then afterwards, it YGG slid to Muno pretending. Muno pulled out sign that read out let's play pretend with Muno. Muno wants to play pretend. DJ Lance cheered. Hey there. Muno greeted. Let's play pretend. Muno then started to pretend to be a ring. I'm pretending to be an object. I'm shaped like a circle. I have a hole inside of me, and I'm gold. What object am I? Muno asked. A ring. The kids answered. Yeah? Muno cheered. You got it. I'm a ring. Now let's all pretend that we're rings. The kids then pretended to be rings with Muno much like in the segments that were in season 1. Alright. Muno cheered. Wait a minute here. Didn't pretend with Muno been used since season 1? I asked. Then it showed the Mark's Magic Pictures segment. Hello, Mark greeted. My name is Mark and today we're gonna draw a famous mechanical genius and skilled pilot named Tails. First, let's draw his face, like this. Mark then used his marker to draw a picture of Tails' face. Next, let's draw his body, Mark instructed. Mark then drew Tails' body. Now all we need is his legs and feet, Mark continued. Soon afterwards, Mark drew Tails' legs and feet. Alright, now that we've done the rest of Tails, let's give him something to drive. Or should I say fly, Mark remarked. After that, Mark drew the tornado, Tails' plane. Alright. The we go, Mark said to the camera. Now we have an expert pilot who's always there to help. The drawing of then came to life and started flying around the canvas. Hi, I'm Tails. Tails greeted. Nice to meet you. It's very nice to meet you too, Tails. Mark greeted back. Wanna go on a plane ride with me? Tails asked. Sure. Mark accepted. Tails then built an airplane, and Mark was surprised. Wow, thanks, Tails. Mark thanked. No problem, Tails told Mark, as he hopped inside the airplane. Hop in. Mark then got inside the canvas, got on the plane, and flew off with Tails. Thanks for drawing with us today. See you later. Mark thanked us as he flew off with Tails cheering happily. Then afterwards, it showed a game and the story time segment. Story time. The announcer spoke. The hand opened the book as the story started to begin. The story was called Sonic and the Robots of Eggman. Once upon a time in the city, there was a blue hedgehog named Sonic. The narrator began. It showed Sonic in the city, eating a chili dog. What a great day, he spoke. Just then, he heard Robotnik's laughter. Suddenly, there was trouble in the city. The narrator spoke. It panned over to reveal Robotnik, who was kidnapping his best friends Tails, Knuckles and Amy. Hey, Sonic gasped. My friends. You're going down, Eggman. Sonic then sped up, but Eggman slowed him down. But just then, Robotnik slowed him down. The narrator continued. Aha, Eggman laughed. Not so fast. You'll have get past my greatest inventions ever. My wonderful math robots. The wonderful math robot dropped in front of Sonic, as he bumped into it. Sonic. Chris told Sonic, "You must defeat these math robots and rescue our friends. You're the only one who can do it." "I'm always up for a challenge." Sonic prepared. "Bring it on." Then he zipped to the rescue. The narrator continued, and decided to save his friends. He zipped into Eggman's headquarters, but there were lots of booby traps. But just then, he ran into lots of booby traps. The narrator gasped. Sonic gasped as the booby traps were in his way. "This looks worse than I thought," Sonic thought. He then decided to think of a way of how to get past the booby traps. Sonic tried to think of a way to rescue his friends, the narrator stated. But just then, he had an idea. "That's it," Sonic spoke. "I'll use the super speed to get past these booby traps." He then zipped past the booby traps, like spikes to jump over, a sliding wall to duck down, and finally some lasers to dodge. When he got past the booby traps, he saw his friends. The narrator cheered. Tails, Knuckles and Amy gasped as Sonic. "Guys!" Sonic cheered. Sonic. Tails gasped. "You made it." "Sure did," Sonic answered. "Do you have any idea to get out?" "Nope," Knuckles noted. "You have to press that red button to free us," Amy told Sonic. "Got it," Sonic told them. "But first, I'm going to deal with these robots." "You go, Sonic." Tails cheered. Sonic then had a fight with the robots, for them and Sonic. After the battle, it was clearly Sonic who pressed the button afterward. "Yay, Sonic!" Tails, Knuckles and Amy cheered. "Don't mention it, guys," Sonic chuckled. It then cut to Eggman in his ship, looking frustrated. "Beaten by that blue hedgehog again," he groaned. "I bet he won't be so lucky next time." Sonic, Tails, Knuckles and Amy then escaped Eggman's headquarters, which got destroyed. Sonic. Chris cheered. "You did it. You saved the day." "Sure did, Chris," Sonic told Chris. Group hug. Friends. Sonic then hugged Tails, Knuckles and Amy as they smiled. And they lived happily ever after. The narrator finished. Then afterward, it panned out of the book like in every story time segment. The end. The announcer spoke. After story time, it showed the Listen to Sounds with 2D segment. The title card had 2D with a speech bubble above her head saying, "Listen to Sounds with 2D. Let's listen to Sounds with 2D. DJ Lance cheered. "Hey guys, it's me 2D." 2D greeted. "It's time to listen for sounds." "Yeah, okay." 2D then shushed as she motioned for the kids to listen. "Listen," she whispered. 2D then put her left hand above her left ear as the Chaos Emerald sounds were heard. "Can you hear it?" 2D asked. "Is it the sound of an elephant trumpeting?" A cloud bubble showed. "No," the kids noted. "You're right," 2D explained. "Keep listening." 2D put her right hand next to her right ear as the Chaos Emerald sounds were heard again. "Which one? Chaos Emeralds or bell? Is it the sound of a bell or Chaos Emeralds?" 2D asked. Two cloud bubbles showed. "Chaos Emeralds." The kids cheered. "Yes," 2D cheered. "You're right. That's the sound of Chaos Emeralds. Thanks for playing with me." Then afterwards, it got to the next scene. Then it YGG slide transition to Sonic being amazed in Gabba Land. "Wow!" Sonic gasped in amusement. "Nice place you got, guys." "Of course, Sonic," Plex told Sonic. "You're going to love it here." "Really?" Sonic asked, with a smirk on his face. "That is so cool. What do you guys do here?" "Here, we do lots of fun things, like dance, sing, and just be together as friends," Plex explained. "You are going to have so much fun," Muna told Sonic. "Yeah?" Broby agreed. "I bet you'll have a party in my tummy." "Really?" Sonic asked eagerly. "That's great." The Gabbas along with Sonic then sang New Friends from New Friends. "I think you're right," Sonic thought. "I like my new friends." "Of course, you do, Sonic," Fufa replied. Then they all cheered as it transitioned to a kid who liked to dance. Then afterwards, it showed a kid who liked to dance. "My name is Tom. I like to dance," Tom stated. And then afterwards, it then showed the DJ Lance dance. Yeah, DJ Lance cheered. It then showed DJ Lance on the same background from the Biz's Beat of the Day segment. Hi everyone, DJ Lance greeted. Today, we're gonna do the DJ Lance dance. He then motioned for the kids to stand up. So, everyone stand up. Come on, let's dance. Now today's dance is called the Speed Boost. DJ Lance explained. And it goes like this. It showed the kids doing what DJ Lance told them to do. Move your arms back and forth. Now pick up your legs in super speed. Do the speed boost. Do the speed boost. DJ Lance exclaimed. The kids were doing it with DJ Lance together. And so was I. Come on, keep doing it with me. DJ Lance cheered. The kids continued to dance with DJ Lance. Move your arms back and forth. Pick up your legs in super speed. DJ Lance exclaimed. The kids continued to dance just like DJ Lance. Do the speed boost. DJ Lance cheered. Soon afterwards, the kids continued to dance. Do the speed boost. DJ Lance exclaimed. Afterward, the kids cheered, and DJ Lance cheered too. Way to go. DJ Lance spoke. After that, it then showed Brubby coloring. Brubby wants to color. DJ Lance cheered. Brubby rapped. Oh yeah, I love to color. I love to color. I love to color. Come on and play with me. Brubby then started to think of a color. I'm thinking of a color. Brubby spoke. It's the color of the night sky. Alright. And a wheel too. Oh yeah. What color is it? Brubby then raised his arms slowly as the background began to change to the color he was thinking. Brubby cheered, as the color was revealed. Black. The kids cheered. Yeah? Brubby cheered. You're right, it's black. Great job. After that, it showed the Cool Tricks segment. The intro played in the usual way, but it was a mix-up of the Season 1 and Season 4 intros, and Sonic said the deluge of cool tricks. A cool tricks, yeah? From Season 1. Hi, my name is Frankie and Cleo, and our cool trick is to make Sonic and Tails puppets. Cleo explained. They then showed us some tools to make the puppets. We're gonna use some fabric, googly eyes and paper, Frankie stated. So first, let's make their bodies. Cleo began. Cleo then used the fabric to make the bodies of Sonic and Tails. Then we need the paper to make the Tails and Speed shoes. Frankie continued. Frankie used some scissors and paint to make the Tails and Sonic's Speed shoes out of paper, and put them onto the puppets using glue. And now finally, we need their eyes. Frankie finished. Cleo then glued the eyes onto the puppets of Sonic and Tails. Hello, the name's Sonic. Cleo spoke, imitating Sonic. And I'm Tails. Frankie also spoke, imitating Tails. Sonic's sidekick. The Cool Tricks. Cool Tricks. Deluge, but Sonic was saying it. My name is Frankie and this Cleo, and our cool trick is to make puppets of Sonic and Tails. The deluge of a cool tricks. Yeah? Played, but Sonic said it. Then after the cool trick, it went to knock knock joke of the day. The knock knock joke of the day dialogue played like in every episode, but Sonic was the one saying it. Jack McBrayer and Paul's here were also dressed as Sonic and Tails, as they did the usual joke. Knock knock. Paul called. Who's there? Jack asked. Speed. Paul answered. Speed who? Jack asked. Speed on over to the table, because dinner's ready, Paul exclaimed. Then afterwards, the knock knock joke of the day dialogue played again, but again, Sonic said it. Then after the joke, it went to Foofa playing a game. It showed Foofa on a yellow background, then a sign, which was similar to a game board, reading games with Foofa came down. Foofa wants to play a game. DJ Lance cheered. Hi, Foofa greeted. I'm Foofa, and I want to play a matching game. Let's find two things that look the same. She then showed the game to the viewers, which was an animal named Wacky from Sonic. This animal is a small, light brown furred, rotund monkey. Foofa showed. We need to find this animal that looks the same. The animal showed Flicky from Sonic. Does this animal match? Foofa asked. No, the kids noted. It has wings. and it is blue, but it is not the same animal, Fufa stated. It showed another animal named Becky from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Does this animal match? Fufa asked. No, the kids noted again. You're right, it is a bear, Fufa stated. The animal showed the same animal that Fufa showed earlier. Does this animal match? Fufa asked. Yes, the kids answered. You are right, it's a monkey, Fufa cheered. They match. Thanks for playing with me. Then there was an 8-bit game called The Game Showed. Soon afterwards, YGG slid to the Gabbas with Sonic. Alright, guys, Sonic told them. I want to show you something. What is IT? The Gabbas asked excitedly. My friend Tails, Sonic answered. I'll be right back. I have to go get him. Sonic then zoomed off screen to get Tails. Did you see that? Fufu asked. Sonic went to get Tails, Muno answered. Okay, Plex thought. Just then, DJ Lance then got out a fake Super Music Friends show, but it looked badly damaged, and it looked rusty. The screen was cracked, and the buttons were broken. A Super Music Friends show is starting? DJ Lance asked, confused. I wasn't expecting that. He then placed it into Brubby Land. Come on everybody, I think a Super Music Friends show is about to start. DJ Lance cheered. After saying that, DJ Lance turned to the camera and shrugged with a confused look like in Super Spies. Afterwards it cut to the Gabbas happily waiting for the Super Music Friends show to start while cheering. The Super Music Friends show then began to start, but static engulfed the screen, and it changed to a scene of Green Hill with Tails trying to set up the recording. Is this working? Tails asked himself. Oh, it is. Tails spoke sounding worried. Guys, please, listen to me. Something's wrong with my friend Sonic. That isn't him at all. He's not himself, and soon enough, he'll try to catch you. Tails whimpered. What? Plex asked. Please, run away as fast as you can, before he can get you. Tails told the gang. Suddenly Sonic appeared behind Tails. Oh no, Tails muttered. Guys, move it. Please go. Sonic then growled as he began to choke him. Oh Tails, how dare you? Sonic sinisterly asked as he grabbed a lighter, and threw it at the camera, causing the SMFS to catch on fire. The Gabbas gasped as the SMFS began to burn from the fire. IT's on fire. IT's on fire. Plex shouted in fear. IT's on fire. IT's on fire. DJ Lance. Muno called out. Please, put it out. Put IT out. Put IT out. Right, Muno. DJ Lance told the Gabbas. Stay back. I got this. DJ Lance immediately grabbed it while he had a fire extinguisher as he blew out the fire. Well, that was definitely not a Super Music Friends show. DJ Lance thought. It totally was not. 2D whimpered. Turns out, the fake Super Music Friends show was from Sonic as a distraction. The Gabbas were really stunned as they blinked their eyes for 1 second. Wait a minute. Did he just think it was a Super Music Friends show? Muno asked. Yes Muno, he just did. 2D told Muno. It was a fake Super Music Friends show. But why would he even do this to us? Brubby? Fufa wondered. I just don't know. Fufa, Brubby answered, sadly. Oh no, this isn't good at all. Plex gasped. We could be next, guys. Oh no. DJ Lance panicked. We need to escape before he can get us. Suddenly, me, the Gabbas, and DJ Lance's ears were assaulted by a loud-ass scream from Tails, along with blood splattering sounds. My ears splattered everywhere as I screamed. Also blood splattered on everyone's ears as Fufa could be screaming. Oh no, this can't be happening. 2D muttered. Sonic is coming to get us. My ears. Brubby yelled. They really hurt. I then paused the video and cleaned my ears with the tissues. Plus, I got an horrible headache of the loud-ass scream, so I decided to rest for 6 minutes. Before watching this again. We have to get out of here. Muno yelped. Affirmative. Plex agreed. We can't let Sonic kill us. Agreed. DJ Lance Rock also agreed. Let's all make sure to stay together. Suddenly, all the lights in Gabland went off, including the black, nighttime background, making the scene look really dark. What happened to the lights? Broby questioned in fear. The dark is scary, and especially now that we're being hunted. Not sure. Broby 2D answered in horror, this is just too freaky for me to handle. Guys, a broken bar, Fufa whimpered. I'm really scared. I don't want to die. What are we gonna do? Muno panicked. It's too dark for us to get out. How will we escape? Don't worry everyone. I'll use my flashlight on my head to lead the way so we can see things better. Plex reminded. Good idea. Muno accepted. Plex then turned his flashlight antenna on. There. That's better. He relieved. Now everyone needs to use some flashlights. Plex then beamed down some flashlights for Muno, Fufa, Broby and 2D to see better. Wow, 2D gasped. Now we can see in the dark. Can Plex beam me down? DJ Lance asking Plex to beam him down so he can stick together with his friends. DJ Lance then also turned on a flashlight. Turns out, it was actually on a phone. DJ Lance has a phone? I asked. The Gabbas were really confused and very puzzled of why DJ Lance Rock had a phone. Huh? The Gabbas asked. DJ Lance, how long have you had a phone for? Plex asked. It's for emergencies only. DJ Lance told Plex. He then looked down into Gabba land. Hey Plex, can you beam me down so I can stick together with you guys too? DJ Lance asked. Yes, I can. Plex accepted as he beamed DJ Lance down into Gabba land. Thanks, Plex. DJ Lance thanked Plex. No problem. DJ Lance Rock. Plex told DJ Lance. Now come on everyone, let's get going, DJ Lance stated as the gang proceeded to start going through Gabbaland in the dark. The Gabbas cheered when DJ Lance Rock said that. The Gabbas cheered when DJ Lance Rock said that. Now let's carefully get out of here, guys, DJ Lance told his friends. Right, Plex agreed. We need to get out of here before someone see us. SHHHH. Remember everyone, let's be very quiet. DJ Lance whispered. Okay. The gang whispered in unison. The gang then journeyed through the dark. Suddenly Plex noticed something. Plex thought. Was that? Oh, it's dead here. It was a dead corpse of animal, revealing a monkey. No, that's... Wait, do we know him? DJ Lance asked. Do we? Fufu asked. The gang then heard demonic laughter as they looked around. What was that? 2D questioned. I don't know, Fufu answered nervously. It is coming from Muno land. Plex spotted. Come on. DJ Lance then turned to the camera. Will you help us find out what's making that noise? DJ Lance asked. There was silence for about 10 seconds. You will? DJ Lance asked. Great. Let's go find out who made that noise. The gang then sang What Is It? From Find and Animals, as they slowly began to journey through the dark. Then after they sang, they all managed to reach closer to Muno land, but they saw Sonic, albeit facing away from the gang, with a smile on his face, and his eyes closed. There's Sonic, Fufa whispered. Come on, Plex told the gang. We gotta go talk to him. DJ Lance, Muno, Fufa, Broby and 2D nodded as they slowly began to walk to him. Sonic, Fufa asked, confused. Is that you? However, Sonic just started laughing. DJ Lance, Muno, Fufa, Plex, Broby and 2D were slowly beginning to back away from him. He apostrophe S ... not responding. Broby gasped. You all really thought I was Sonic? Do you want to know who I really am? Sonic asked. Wait a minute. 2D thought, scared. You just want to know who you really are? Well, a broken bar W. Who are you then? Broby whimpered. Sonic then began to speak as his voice faded to a deep, demonic voice. I am. Suddenly, he turned straight to look at the camera, and he had changed. His fur was a darker shade of blue. His eyes were black. He had red pupils, and was crying blood as he screamed the final word, God. He had then transformed into Xenophane, and he looked monstrous. He was immensely tall, towering over every other character. His quills were now even more unkempt and seemed to be grown longer around his ears and eyebrows. They were also tipped with a bright, almost crystalline-looking purple. His facial proportions were extended to the point of his skull being partially visible through his eye sockets, and his teeth and gums were now a sickly purple. He now had an X-shaped slash in his chest, which, along with the blood coming out of his eyes, was now a pinkish purple color. Muno, Fufa, Brubby, 2D, Plex and DJ Lance gasped at what they had seen. God, please don't do this, Brubby pleaded. I was shocked as they had never said God before in the show. Oh, don't worry, I'm not just gonna do this myself. I have helpers of mine, Xenophane reminded. Xeno then summoned 5 portal rings, and soul versions of Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose, Robotnik, Metal Sonic came out. DJ Lance, Muno, Fufa, Plex, Brubby and 2D gasped as they saw what Sonic had done to them. Oh shit, Fufa panicked. Oh no, Plex screamed in fear. He has turned all his friends into souls. Let's get out of here. DJ Lance gasped. Run. Run for your life. DJ Lance, Muno, Fufa, 2D Plex ran for their lives, but Brubby was still shaking in fear. God, no. Brubby pleaded. Don't kill me or my friends. No, no, no. Tails. Finish off this green booger, Xenophane ordered. I'm on it, Tails replied. Tails went up to Brubby, tossed him in the air and started slicing him using his tails. Brubby screamed in agony, but his actor sounded like he accidentally cut his finger. After Tails sliced Brubby, he threw him to the ground. As Brubby was now dead, Xenophane then used his powers and brought Brubby back as a soul. Come on, crew, Xenophane told the crew. Let's go get the rest of them. Tails, Amy, Knuckles, Robotnik and Metal Sonic nodded as they all went off with Xenophane to get the rest of the Gabba gang. It then YGG slid to Muno, 2D, Plex, Fufa DJ Lance still running for their life. Everyone, DJ Lance told Muno, Fufa, Plex 2D. We have to get out of here, before they can get us. Suddenly, Knuckles glided over them and landed in front of them. 2D then turned around and gasped as she saw Knuckles. Knock knock. It's Knuckles, he spoke. Oh god. 2D panicked. Please get away from me, I'm warning you. Sorry, but I'm following the rules of the master, Knuckles stated. Knuckles then grabbed 2D and started to stab her using his knuckles. 2D screamed in agony as she was being stabbed. Xenophane then used his powers and brought 2D back as a soul. 2D, Fufa cried. No, we have to leave now, DJ Lance gasped. DJ Lance, Plex, Muno Fufa jumped out of Gabland and continued to run for their life. Suddenly, Fufa fell down by tripping over a dead animal corpse. Except, the dead animal corpse was none other than Muno, Plex and DJ Lance gasped as Fufa was now on the ground with tears in her eyes. Fufa, Plex berated. We have to move now, before Fufa can even move. Robotnik and Amy teleported in front of her. Well, Amy told Fufa. It looks like your time is up, flower baby. Time to die. Pinkie Pie. Robotnik told Fufa. Prepare to be destroyed by us. Amy berated. Xenophane then summoned Robotnik's Eggmobile. Robotnik then hopped into it, and pressed a button with his arm, bringing out a spiky ball attached to a chain. Now Pinkie, what happens when you get a spiky ball, and you together? Robotnik asked. Fufa didn't answer. She was frozen in fear. You don't know the answer? Robotnik asked. Well, time for me to show you, bitch. Robotnik and Amy then did something horrifying. He smashed the spiky ball onto Fufa's head first, then afterwards Amy cut Fufa's stomach open. Fufa screamed in agony as she was being smashed. Then she was dead. Xenophane then used his powers to revive Fufa as a soul. Muno, Plex DJ Lance gasped as Robotnik and Amy killed Fufa. Oh my god, Muno gasped. They killed Fufa. You bastards. DJ Lance berated. Well, Xenophane told DJ Lance, Plex and Muno. Now it looks like we've only got you 3 left to kill. That's right, Amy agreed. It's time to die. Fools. Everyone, we have to keep running if we want to survive, Plex stated. Plex DJ Lance kept running for their life, but Metal Sonic grabbed onto Muno and tossed him to Xenophane and his crew. Robotnik then came out of the shadows with an evil grin on his face. Good job, Metal. Oh, and make sure he doesn't leave, he told Metal. Amy appeared and also spoke. Don't forget to keep him down. We can't let him move either. You got it. Metal accepted. Metal then proceeded to use his laser eyes to get rid of Muno's arms and legs so he couldn't escape. My limbs. Muno cried. You all are psychos. We are Muno, and now you are. Xeno told Muno. Details spoke. E-Knuckles replied. Robotnik continued. D. Metal and Amy finished. You're dead. All the souls chorused in unison. The souls then zapped Muno to death. Muno screamed in agony as he was being zapped. Afterwards, Xenophane revived Muno as a soul. Now you 4 new souls. Attack the robot and the DJ, Xenophane ordered. Yes, master. The 4 souls Gabbas replied as they charged at DJ Lance Plex. Oh, and now the designs for them looked creepier than ever. Muno now had his bumps really sharp. Fufa now had her petals wilting, while her arms were scratched. Brubby now had his horns pointy, and his fur was darker. 2D now had her whiskers sharp, her eyes were black with red pupils and her tail was chopped off. The 4 souls Gabbas also had stitch marks and patches as well. DJ Lance and Plex gasped as they realized their friends were now monstrous souls that would be forever tortured, and they would be next if they didn't get out soon. Oh no, DJ Lance gasped. We have to run faster. Plex. You got it. Plex agreed. However, it was too late. The 4 souls grabbed them and held them down so that Xenophane and his crew can catch them. Any last words? You too? Xenophane asked. You. We won't let you do this to us, Plex berated. Well, it's too late. You're due. Before Xenophane could finish, he started glitching like into and across the Spider-Verse. DJ Lance Rock and Plex were puzzled by Xeno glitching. Suddenly, Sonic's ghost appeared and tried to fight against Xenophane. No, I don't want to kill, Sonic shouted. That would be not cool. Well, you got no choice but to, Xenophane told Sonic. I got other choices, dumbass, Sonic roasted. I was shocked by them saying a swear word in the story, but yet again, it did say mild language at the warning. Sonic and Xenophane then had a mini battle for the body and soul of Sonic. Plex and DJ Lance started to get confused. Hey, what's he doing? DJ Lance asked. I don't know, DJ Lance, Plex answered. After the mini battle, it was clearly obvious who won. It was Xenophane. Now, you two are done for, Xenophane berated. With an evil smile, he then started to kill Plex DJ Lance afterwards. First, he cracked DJ Lance's skull open, ripped his arms off and set him on fire. And finally, he started to rust Plex with a bucket of water and crack him. Plex and DJ Lance screamed in agony as they were being tortured. Gabba Land is now mine to command, Xenophane declared in triumph. Xenophane then used his powers and revived DJ Lance and Plex as they were now brought back as souls. We did it, Xenophane spoke demonically. We got the Gabba gang and now they are corrupted, just like us. Xenophane and his crew cheered as all of the Gabba gang was corrupted. We're Broken Bar area Broken Bar now the corrupted Gabba gang. DJ Lance spoke. Nothing can stop us now, Plex agreed. We will now take over Gabba Land, and no one can stop us. Muno, Fufa, Broby, and 2D responded in unison. Once and for all. Yeah? DJ Lance replied. Also, we will turn this world into our domain for our master. Xenophane, his crew the corrupted Gabba gang all shared evil laughter as they sang a creepy version of the Freeze game. The lyrics of the creepy version of the Freeze game were, you can run, but you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. Then after they sang it, YGG slid to another wait. The kid was dead, and his name was redacted. For some reason, the background was dark with lots of bloodstains. The kid's corpse had a shirt with a head of Xenophane, his legs and arms were ripped, he had his skull cracked open and his feet were torn off. The music playing in the background was the Game Over theme from Sonic CD, US, but in reverse. What the hell, I muttered. Why the hell is the kid dead? And why is he named that? He's dead. Like me. The kid spoke, with the voice of Tails. I want to be saved. It then YGG slid to the DJ Lance dance the second time, but he was somehow still a soul. What? I gasped. Another DJ Lance dance segment. The background was dark black, while the boombox was all covered in blood, and it was all rusty. The music that was playing in the background was called Hi Everyone, DJ Lance greeted. Today, we're gonna do the DJ Lance dance. DJ Lance motioned for the kids to stand up here, Isla. So, everyone stand up, come on, let's dance. Now today's dance is called the Soul Stomp. DJ Lance explained. It then showed the kids, but they were also souls. Stomp to the left, stomp to the right, stomp to the left, stomp to the right, do the soul stomp. You do the soul stomp. DJ Lance exclaimed. The kids were stomping along with DJ Lance. Come on, keep it up. Keep doing it with me. Stomp to the left, stomp to the right, stomp to the left, stomp to the right. DJ Lance cheered. The soul kids were continuing to dance with DJ Lance. Do the soul stomp. DJ Lance cheered. They soul kids kept dancing. Do the soul stomp. DJ Lance exclaimed. After that, the soul kids cheered while DJ Lance cheered as well. Yeah, great job. That was soulrific. DJ Lance exclaimed. Then it showed the story time segment, but it was different too. The book was red, covered in blood, and it had claw marks through it, while the background was dark red. There's another story time segment? I asked, confusingly. The narrator who said story time sounded much like Sonic.X instead of the usual narrator. Soon afterwards, the hand appeared. But it was. The hand opened the book as the story began. Once upon a time, there was a young fox named Tails. The narrator began. It showed Tails walking through Green Hill silently, looking for Sonic. Where could Sonic be? Tails wondered. Then suddenly, he heard something ... laughter. The narrator stated as an evil laugh was heard. What was that? He gasped. Just then, someone appeared behind him. It was Sonic. He turned around and saw his best friend, but there was one problem. Something seemed off. The narrator continued. Sonic, Tails gasped. Is that really you? I may be Sonic, but you thought I was. Sonic told Tails. I am God. Tails gasped as he saw Sonic turn into Xenophane, being in his Sonic.X form. Xenophane? Tails questioned. Does that mean I'm gonna get ya? Xenophane shouted, interrupting Tails' sentence. Then afterwards, Xenophane began to chase Tails with the drowning theme playing in the background. Please, Sonic, Tails pleaded. I'm too young to die. But it was too late. Xenophane lunged onto Tails, and twisted Tails' neck as he screamed in agony. Afterwards, he was nothing but a dead pile of junk. The narrator berated. Tails was now a soul, just like how he was when Xenophane brought him in. And now, Tails was a soul. The narrator continued. The two shared evil laughter as they went off screen to find more victims. It then panned out of the book as it ended in the usual way, like in every story time segment. The announcer who finished the end, though, still sounded like Sonic.X. Then after story time, it showed a game called, and then it got to the closing segment, which began to play. But there was a problem. DJ Lance the Gabba gang were still souls, while Gabbaland was also covered in blood. DJ Lance started. The soul Gabbas cheered when DJ Lance said that. It's almost time to go. DJ Lance reminded. The Gabbas, still souls, booed like a crowd. But first, let's go back and remember all the fun things we did today. DJ Lance announced. The Gabba souls laughed evilly when he announced that. First, we met a new friend named Sonic. DJ Lance remembered. The first cloud bubble showed the gang meeting Sonic. Then, we showed our new friend Gabbaland. DJ Lance continued. The second cloud bubble showed the gang showing their new friend, Gabbaland. And finally, We tried to escape from Xenophane, but he made all of us souls. DJ Lance finished. The third and final cloud bubble showed Xenophane and his crew, the corrupted Gabba gang, laughing evilly. Today sure was a corrupted day, DJ Lance exclaimed. The soul Gabbas laughed evilly when he said that. Now it's time to dance. DJ Lance cheered. Yeah, the soul Gabbas cheered. Are you ready? DJ Lance asked. Yeah, the soul Gabbas cheered. Can you help me? DJ Lance asked. Yeah, the soul Gabbas cheered again. Can we dance? DJ Lance asked. Yeah, the soul Gabbas cheered the third time. Well, let's do it. DJ Lance rapped. Break it down. Then afterwards, the Mega Mix played, but it featured Sonic.X with his soul friends joining the Mega Mix, and I also could hear whispers during it. They sounded like, "Help us, they trapped us." I also saw images flashing on the screen, like the corpses of Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose, Robotnik, Metal, Muno, Fufa, Brubby, 2D, Plex, DJ Lance, and I could also hear Sonic.X laughing in the background. After the Mega Mix played, it showed the corrupted Gabba gang laughing evilly. Yay! The soul Gabbas cheered. Wow! DJ Lance cheered. That was so much fun. Yeah, the soul Gabbas cheered again. I had a great time today. DJ Lance cheered. The soul Gabbas laughed evilly as they cheered. Thanks for playing with us today. DJ Lance spoke demonically, making a reference to season 1. See you next time. Bye. The soul Gabbas waved evilly. Here we go. DJ Lance spoke, as raised his arms and said the following words. Yo Gabba Gabba. Afterwards, the magic sparkles appeared, but they were in shades of red. The gang then changed back into Kid Robot toys, but there were still souls. Instead of the usual closing theme playing in the background, it was none other than Hill Act 1 from Sonic.X. DJ Lance then got out his boombox, but it was covered in blood, and it was rusty just like in the DJ Lance dance as he opened it. He then placed the Gabbas in their usual places of the boombox as usual and closed it, but instead of him walking off screen, he teleported away, laughing wickedly. After that, it faded to black ending the episode. The credits faded in, but something was wrong, and it was not quite right. The song playing in the background was the same one in the closing segment, and Gabland was covered in spikes, traps, the dead corpses of animals, and the background was still nighttime. What the hell, I muttered. Then it showed the Magic Store and Wild Brain logos, but they did not make anything better at all. The Magic Store logo came up, but the background was dark blue, there was crystals and blood all over the logo. The one was broken, and the person who said magic sounded very scared and depressed. The Wild Brain logo came up, but the background was black, and the text was purple, and when the eye dinged, there was a scream. The Nick Jr. Productions logo came up, but it was normal until got to the part where Nick grabbed Jr. and ate his face whole, before slamming him to the ground as the background turned black alongside the puddle fading to blood. Nick transformed into an X with crystals above his head and his mouth was agape, with the production's byline was horror-like and it was floating around the puddle. And finally, the Nickelodeon logo came up, but the text was in a Creepsville font and the splat was blood red. What made it disturbing was the splat turning into a light bulb, and instead of the kids laughing, Xenophane was heard laughing demonically. It then showed a black screen. Gonna get the remote, I muttered. I rushed to the remote as quickly as I could, but as I was just about to turn it off, a broken bar, a jump scare came up. It was a picture of Brubby from Talent where he told DJ Lance that he thought he didn't have a talent, but it was heavily edited as the sounds of various Sonic.X jump scares were heard in the background. I screamed, but this time I screamed loudly. My neighbors heard it and asked if I was okay, and I said yeah. After they left, it took me back to the menu. I decided to check out the bonus features, and to my surprise, there were some new and unexpected things to see. There were the 3 other lost episodes, trailers for Yo Gabba Gabba, behind the scenes, and one thing that caught my eye were the last 2. A lost episode for Yo Gabba Gabba called Werewolf, and a lost episode for another show called Wobsy, called Manual Blast. I was interested by the other 2 episodes, but then I decided to not watch them. I then took out the DVD, and I put it back in the case, and then I threw it in the trash. I then contacted Wildbrain and Nickelodeon, and the next day they sent me a reply, and it said this: "We hate to tell you, but Clenny Brown and Ted Morgan teamed up once again to make this demented episode back in 2013 for season 4, and they've also predicted Cellophane and made the other episode you mentioned, such as Werewolf and Manual Blast. But don't worry, soon we will tell the full story of what had happened to Clenny and Ted. Thank you for your patience, and remember, stay awesome." Nickelodeon and Wildbrain. How could they create the same way, if I can't even enjoy my childhood without having nightmares about Xeno the Souls killing me the same way they killed the Gabbas, slicing me, punching me, smashing me with a spiky ball, using laser eyes, and more a broken bar. Whatever you do, if you see a box outside, and it has a lost episode, don't watch it. The end.